One day, the world was thrown into upheaval as towers and dungeons appeared, unleashing monsters that began attacking humans. Korea was hit especially hard, with the maximum number of dungeons and towers, making the monster attacks stronger than in any other country and turning the nation into a living hell. However, in this darkness, brilliant lights began to shine. These lights were called heroes. With the help of these heroes, Korea started to fight back, gradually bringing the towers under control. Companies began to capitalize on the situation, finding opportunities amidst the chaos. As time passed, South Korea rose to become one of the world's superpowers. To combat the increasing number of monsters and dungeons, a cube training center was established. Here, heroes from all over the world would gather, facing intense competitions. In this school, a main character destined to save the world would emerge, along with rivals contesting him. This was the overview of the world. However, this world wasn't created by God, it was created by an author named Kim Jong-hak. There was a problem. The world he wrote in his novel was unfolding before his eyes. Kim Jong-hak saw Kim Soho, a character from his novel, standing before him. He couldn't believe what was happening. He could hear people's thoughts about Kim Soho, making the reality of his situation even more unreal. Kim Soho is the main character of this novel, the one who will lead this chaotic world. He has a hero's kind and righteous heart, but he harbors a secret that he hides from everyone. Another character, Kim Jong-hak, has the potential to match the main character. However, he is destined to become the future villain. Currently, everyone is a cadet, but in the future, his rivalry with Kim Soho will turn him to evil. The author, Kim Jong-hak, found himself in the novel he created and wondered who he was. He was confused when someone called him Chundong. He wondered if there was a character named Kim Chundong in his novel. Looking at his reflection, he saw a question mark on his face and realized he had turned into a character he had never written about. Disappointed with his faint existence, he noticed that, despite being in the Cube Training Center, he was extraordinarily ordinary. He was just a background character, meant to fill up the audience seats, a novel's extra. One day, he received an email asking for a remake of his novel, The Returned Hero, which he had put on pause more than half a year ago due to low demand. Feeling guilty for abandoning the novel, he agreed to the remake. However, he did not know that he would eventually fall into the fictional world he created. He was still getting used to his unfamiliar face even after 2 weeks. He couldn't figure out who had dropped him into this world. All he knew was that he possessed the body of Kim Chundong, a mere extra in his novel. If this world continued as he had written, it would be 10 years before it was dropped. The thought of being stuck in a novel for a decade, mingling with a bunch of teenagers, was frustrating. He definitely didn't want to fight for his life in this suspended novel. However, he couldn't think of any way to escape other than catching up with the main story. To do that, he would have to attend school at Cube. Cube is a man-made island located near the East Sea, a modern city concentrated with the world's magic, skills, and talents. It is a hero's training center for students with special abilities called gifts. Only the top elite are qualified to be Cube cadets, and this person whose body the author possessed was one of them. He didn't know what kind of skill he had, but it must be special since he got into the Cube. He hoped for something good for survival in this daunting school. He reached his class and entered. He was in Class Veritas, the center of the whole Cube arc. Here, the good and evil characters, comrades and rivals, and the novel's protagonist would form cliques. Many events would unfold because of that. He would have to endure this for 10 years. Upon reaching his dormitory, he received a parcel. He assumed it must be Kim Chundong's personal belongings. He was shocked to find his laptop from the real world inside. When he opened it, it automatically began synchronizing between Kim Chundong, the Cube cadet, and Kim Jong-hak, the actual author of the novel. A stats window appeared, showcasing his attributes. Jong-hak recognized these settings from the novel. His body started shaking as the synchronization reached 99%. A screen appeared stating, "Unique authority setting. Intervention learned." Suddenly, his face was revealed as the question mark dispersed. Kim Chundong's body was replaced by Kim Jong-hak's due to the synchronization, and all stats were reset. He couldn't understand what was happening and thought maybe this was enlightenment, a phenomenon that occurs when one goes beyond their limits. In this world, it's called enlightenment. After enlightenment, gifts, skills, and abilities are digitized and become much more powerful. Jong-hak could see his stats window and took a look at his abilities. The first things that stood out were synchronization and conversion. Compared to Kim Jong-hak's abilities, his were weak, but he had points instead. The second notable feature was setting intervention. Using SP points, he could modify or create non-living things and also use these points for gifts, abilities, and arts. Another important aspect was his increased importance as Kim Hajin. This meant he would have to become more significant in the novel's storyline. The reason he received these abilities was because he needed to interfere in the main story. If he wanted to influence the story, he would have to get stronger, so he began increasing his stats by investing points. In this novel, the concept of leveling up doesn't exist, and points are equivalent to valuable commodities. The best way to invest points is to increase luck. Luck isn't limited to the probability of finding an unknown reward in a dungeon. He immediately invests all his points in luck and the rest in perseverance. Due to luck being in effect, he gained extra stats. Suddenly, he received a warning that he couldn't change non-variable stats with SP points. Disappointed, he got to change his luck and perseverance. Then he remembered he had 10,000 SP from novice consideration, which he decided to use carefully. In class, the professor introduced himself to everyone, stating his world ranking was 9,737. After the introduction, he got straight to the point, telling everyone that Cube isn't a place for fun. The absolute indicator is grades, and those who don't get good grades will fall behind. He announced that the first task was to decide on their main weapon. Everyone gathered at the weapon armory to choose their weapon. The professor instructed that once they chose their weapon, they couldn't change it for a minimum of 6 months. All the main characters chose weapons they were compatible with. Next, it was Hajin's turn. His current stats weren't enough to wield any weapon typically used by cadets, so he decided to choose a weapon he had used before and could adapt to quickly. Everyone stared at Hajin oddly as he chose a gun as his main weapon. The professor, noticing this, asked if Hajin had used a sword at the military academy and if he was sure about using a gun. Hajin replied that he was sure. The professor reminded him that cadets were responsible for their decisions. Hajin overheard whispers of other students criticizing his choice. The bullets used in this world are called magic bullets, infused with mana, making them much more powerful than normal bullets. However, despite their merits, people avoid guns for 2 main reasons. First, they have limited damage capacity that cannot be changed. Second, the world is steeped in legends and mythology. Artifacts from myths exist, and the deeper the origin, the higher the weapon grade. Hence, people prefer old weapons over modern ones. This didn't concern Hajin since he had never used a sword before and wouldn't match up to the other cadets. Choosing a gun was the best choice for him, especially since he could modify non-living things with his SP points. The next task was to choose a gift. Gifts could also be called ultimate abilities. Usually, only one gift awakens within a person, but there are exceptions like Kim Soho, who possesses the Sword Master gift. Kim Soho was surprised to see Chai Naeun and asked if she was there to train as well. She got mad and replied, asking why else she would come to the training center. Kim Soho then asked if she knew about another sharpshooter in their class. She remembered him, and her expression quickly changed. She assumed he could barely shoot a range of 1 kilometer and was just stalling before giving up on being a hero. Soho told her not to say such things rashly. She wasn't expecting this from him and got annoyed, telling him to leave her sight. Meanwhile, Hajin remembered how the main character, Kim Soho, became the greatest hero with just 1 gift. The first gift the author wrote will give him 10,000 SP, so he chose the gift of sharpshooter. After writing the gift, it modified itself to include all ranged weapons, not just guns but also bows, along with some special abilities. With Hajin's skills of observation and reading, he could answer questions in class and observe everyone within his field of vision. Naeun got annoyed by the theory lectures and wanted to show some real skill. Suddenly, a student came in, informing everyone to gather in the plaza in 20 minutes. Everyone got hyped up, except Hajin. The professor announced the teams, each consisting of 2 warriors, 1 sharpshooter, and 1 support. He said these teams would remain until mid-semester and were evenly mixed with higher and lower-ranked cadets. When the professor displayed the teams, Hajin was not happy with the team he got. He was in the same team as Yuyona. There are numerous lead roles in novels, but among these leading characters, Yuyona is special. In the future, she will take over Korea's top guild, Essence of the Strait, and is also a successor of the Yu family. In the first half, she clashes with Kim Soho, but she will be influenced by him and become a strong supporter. Connecting with Yuyona was important for Hajin since the deeper the characters are connected to the story, the more SP he will get. During this training session, he was determined to attract Yuyona's attention. The teams gathered and introduced themselves. Yuyona tried to avoid them, but since they were teammates, she introduced herself formally. She asked who the last member was. Hajin came forward. His teammates immediately recognized him as the kid who chose a gun. The professor intervened and told them it wasn't time for chit-chat and that they should move quickly to find the monster each team was supposed to fight. They all quickly ran towards their designated target, but Hajin immediately felt tired, even though his stamina stats were above average. All he could do was stay on their tail. Finally, they reached the area where the black hump octopus appeared. Yuyona devised a strategy to counter the monster. The hump octopus had a crazy regeneration ability, but its main body's attack wasn't powerful. The problem lay with the humps on its head. When it detected danger, it would shoot dozens of baby octopuses from its hump, and these babies could paralyze opponents. Team members suggested they prioritize the baby octopuses, and Hajin, being a sharpshooter, would be best for the job. However, Yuyona quickly rejected the idea, saying she would handle the baby octopuses and suggested they preserve their magic power for the black hump octopus in one hit. Hajin understood that she was trying to exclude him from the training. Yuyona told everyone to get ready for the fight. The black hump octopus destroyed the boat, and one of the teammates made noise to grab its attention. It noticed him and quickly swam towards him. He ran away, but the octopus immediately shot baby octopuses from its hump at him. The baby octopuses almost reached him, but Yuyona destroyed all of them coming in his direction. Her power was unimaginable since she was ranked 7 in Cube. He thanked her and let her handle things. She quickly attacked its main body, but it retaliated, forcing her to fall back. However, she didn't notice a baby octopus near her, which quickly jumped towards her to attack. This was when Hajin decided to intervene and shot a bullet at the baby octopus. SP points could be exchanged for stat points, and SP could be earned when Hajin became popular. But for an extra, it was difficult to attract attention. Then the only other option was to intervene in the story, just like now. Everyone was shocked at Hajin's accuracy, which prompted the black hump octopus to release dozens of baby octopuses. Hajin quickly closed his eyes and concentrated on his breath, activating the bullet time ability. A gift he created, bullet time, slowed time for 3 seconds. That meant for 3 seconds, he could clearly see their movements. After that, it was simply shooting bullets into them. He quickly shot bullets at them before time ran out and managed to kill every single baby octopus. Yuyona's eyes were wide open. The black hump octopus weakened, and without any delay, Yuyona quickly grabbed its hump with a whip. Then their other teammates jumped from the air. They attacked simultaneously and quickly eliminated it with one hit. Hajin was exhausted and lay down on the ground. The black hump octopus shrunk to its original size. Team 5's clear time was 59 minutes, putting them at 16th place. The final monster round was over. Team 5 finished 16th out of 100. Yuyona was shocked and deeply disappointed with their rank. She was even more upset because Naeun had scored higher than her. When she noticed Kim Jong-hak smiling, her anger grew. She got up, walked over to Naeun, and asked her how the actual battle had gone. Naeun mentioned she finished in 4th place, but really wanted to beat Kim Jong-hak and Rachel. She then asked Yuyona about her rank. Awkwardly, Yuyona admitted she got 16th place, but was dying inside. Naeun, however, was impressed that Yuyona managed to get 16th place with a gunman on her team, commenting that she could have done better if he hadn't been part of it. She pointed out that Hajin wasted 50 minutes on a route that should have only taken 10 minutes. Yet, on the contrary, he had killed dozens of baby octopuses before they could even reach the ground. Yuyona wondered if that was even possible with just regular magic bullets and became curious about his real identity. In the training room, Hajin was exhausted from his workout. He checked his stats and saw that, thanks to his luck, his overall stats had increased significantly. He had received 27 SP points. He was glad to be involved with the main characters because it had significantly boosted his SP. Meanwhile, Yuyona reviewed footage of the monster round. While watching, she noticed that Hajin shot 60 bullets in just 2.78 seconds with a handgun. She wondered if it was even possible to shoot 20 bullets per second. She admitted that his reflexes were certainly extraordinary, but his health was strangely lower than that of normal cadets. Yuna received a message from Kim Jong-hak asking what she was doing. She replied that she was analyzing the video, explaining that if she was going to take over the guild, she needed to analyze the people. Kim Jong-hak mentioned that he thought all of her teammates were trash, but then he asked about the gunman on her team. She replied that he could pull his own weight and was suitable for rank 934. Kim Jong-hak suggested that maybe he just got lucky, but Yuna doubted that it was merely luck. At the creator's Sacred Grace Guild building, Vice Captain Yoon Sung-ga was impressed with Kim So-ho's performance. His swordsmanship was unlike anything else, his movements were like a dance, and his cutting force was extraordinary. She understood why all the top guilds wanted him and resolved to recruit him no matter what. Next was Kim Ha-jin. She was surprised to see that he used a gun. Her secretary informed her that there were stories about him in the guild community and that many people had watched the video because he was on Yuna's team. He had changed his weapon from a sword to a gun as soon as he reached the cube. Additionally, the secretary noted that he used a non-automated gun and shot 60 bullets in 3 seconds, all of which hit their targets accurately. Due to Kim Ha-jin's eccentric talent, people internally called him unorthodox. Yoon Sung-ga found this enlightening, noting that it was a phenomenon where a person realizes their true talent. She explained that a person might not know their true talent before enlightenment, and because of this, people would change their weapons to better correspond to their talent. She was impressed that he achieved enlightenment at just 17 years old, but it didn't seem all that attractive if he was only limited to guns. She suggested they leave him be so he could shine on his own. She wanted to see if the unorthodox title was too much for him. In the next scene, Kim So-ho was having a duel with another student. It was an anti-personnel practical exercise carried out between two cadets. Because training weapons were used, it was easy to calculate results and it caused less pain. However, Ha-jin was the only one who had to go up against an instructor. There were no training guns, so the instructor was fighting with Ha-jin directly. Ha-jin was so tired that he quickly surrendered, but the instructor wasn't listening to him, insisting that he couldn't surrender in the real world. As she threw a punch, Ha-jin saw it coming and quickly dodged. The instructor was shocked. She threw more punches, but Ha-jin kept dodging them. The instructor was in disbelief. His technique was amateur, but he was able to follow her attacks with his eyes. He was using his ability called Thousand-Mile Eyes, which allowed him to see far and estimate his opponent's next moves. While the skill helped, he still had to dodge on his own. Others were laughing at him, but he still earned some SP points from the attention. After the training, Ha-jin went to the vending machine and bought a Coke. Yuna was passing by, and they exchanged intense looks. Ha-jin thought he had written her character, but he didn't like her personality. He decided to conduct an experiment. He called out to her and tossed a Coke to her. She asked if he was trying to start a fight. Ha-jin explained that she had paid for his bus last time, so he was giving her the Coke to even things out. It was an experiment to see how many points he could earn just by interacting with main characters. Yuna said it was fine and returned the Coke, warning him not to speak informally with her. As she was leaving, she noticed a weight difference in her bag. She opened it and found the Coke. Ha-jin had swiftly put it in her bag. She was about to throw it away but then stopped, saying that the Coke hadn't done anything wrong. Yuna secretly loved common people's food like Coke, ramen, and burgers, but couldn't buy them due to her reputation. Ha-jin realized he couldn't earn many SP points just from conversations and would have to intervene in the main story to gain more. The next main story involves a demonic human ambush at the National Weapon Museum. Demonic humans are individuals who have made deals with the devil, gaining great powers in exchange for their souls, and acting as the devil's agents. In this incident, a demonic human hides inside the museum to assassinate someone but is ultimately defeated by the protagonist who happens to be there. This incident garners Kim So-ho the interest of other main characters as he and Naeun defeat the demonic human. Ha-jin decided to intervene in this episode. While he was contemplating his plan, an instructor came by and scolded him for not attending classes. He immediately picked up his laptop but received an email that he missed in the process. Clubs at Cube are extracurricular activities where cadets organize independent activities, including academic pursuits, martial arts, experiential learning, and hobbies. There are many clubs, providing a place for cadets to interact with each other. The club Ha-jin was going to join was a travel club. The club president welcomed the new members and explained that the objective of the travel club was to rest. They use portals once or twice a month to travel outside the cube, and today they were going to Seoul. The president instructed everyone to draw lots to form pairs. Hajin watched as everyone picked their lots, and that's when Yuna picked Hajin's name. Yuna said they would be moving separately. Hajin agreed, and Yuna warned him again not to speak to her casually. Hajin understood. They reached the National Weapons Museum. As Hajin wandered around, he noticed Naeun staring at a bow. Continuing further, he spotted Kim Soho. Approaching him, Hajin asked if he was looking at the seven-branched sword. Kim Soho replied yes. Hajin introduced himself, and Soho smiled, saying he had heard of him, a sharpshooter who chose a gun. Kim Soho was strong, handsome, and had a strong sense of justice. Hajin recalled being criticized by many of his readers, who claimed the protagonist wasn't realistic. Suddenly, there was a blast that shook the museum. Security announced that monsters were attacking, causing chaos within the museum. People panicked and ran for safety. Then Naeun smashed the glass, urging everyone to calm down and wait for museum standby to arrive. She warned that running outside would make them easy prey. Naeun grabbed a bow and instructed Soho to choose weapons as they prepared to defend themselves until the heroes arrived. Suddenly, a demonic human entered. Hajin noted him as one of Lucius's minions, a villain crucial for the protagonist's growth. The demonic human summoned his vicious claw and charged towards Naeun. However, Soho intervened, attacking from behind. Hajin anticipated Soho defeating him effortlessly, but to his shock, Soho was thrown into the wall. Something was wrong. The plot didn't go as Hajin had written. Initially, Soho was supposed to struggle before unleashing his power to overcome his opponent. Soho was coughing up blood. Hajin asked if he was okay. As the demonic human prepared another attack, Naeun intervened, sending arrows at him. Despite hitting him, he remained unaffected, blocking the arrows with his body. Charging at Naeun, he was about to strike when Soho stepped in, blocking the attack. The demonic human then transformed into a shadow, overpowering Soho completely. Naeun attacked from behind with mana-infused arrows, enraging him. He retaliated by grabbing her face and slamming her into a wall. Hajin grew worried that someone might die, unable to comprehend why things are not going according to his novel. Frantically, he opened his laptop, his hands shaking. Checking his remaining bullets, he realized even with increased damage, it wouldn't be enough. Remembering that important settings shouldn't have changed, he swiftly switched his mana bullets to light attribute bullets, knowing that demonic humans possessed dark attributes and light could burn darkness. He screamed for Soho to move and fired a light bullet, hitting the demonic human's arm. Soho seized the opportunity, absorbing the light energy and cutting the enemy in half, finally defeating him. Everyone was exhausted. Soho went to check on Naeun, but she abruptly threw his hand away, feeling helpless. Hajin reassured her that her brother would come soon to comfort her, just as it happened in the novel. However, Soho and Naeun were shocked to hear Hajin's words. Naeun coughed up blood, her injuries worsening. Outside, the monsters were taken down by the vice-captain, who almost killed every monster. She inquired about the situation inside the museum. An officer informed her that a demonic human had appeared, but was swiftly defeated by 3 cube cadets. Impressed, she asked for their names and learned they were Naeun and Kim Soho. Upon hearing Soho's name, she immediately ran inside, eager to meet him personally. Spotting a cube cadet, she approached, only to realize it was Hajin. Hajin told her Kim Soho was inside. She thanked him but then stopped, surprised about how he knew she was looking for Soho. Finally relieved to escape the chaos, Hajin pondered over the involvement of a foreign character whose significance remained minimal. As the story continued as it was supposed to, he wondered about the sudden changes. Then, he remembered that he had forgotten about the co-author of his novel. This world was a remake of his novel, and if the story was being edited by the email sender, then predictions based on his novel might be useless now. Shocked, he received a message, a critique suggesting that there weren't enough threats to harm the protagonist or those around him. In response, he had raised the strength of enemies, even if it led to chaos. After the incident, the instructor arrived to ensure their safe journey home. Soho inquired about Naeun's condition. The instructor informed him that she had returned home on sick leave and advised them to head back to the cube promptly. Soho questioned Hajin why he had mentioned Naeun's brother earlier. Confused, Hajin remembered the change in the story and asked about her brother. Soho asked if he was pretending not to know. Hajin clarified that he genuinely didn't know. Frustrated, Soho ended the topic. After reaching his dormitory, Hajin researched Naeun and discovered something new about her brother. In the Fireflake plan, her brother was seriously injured and fell into a coma. The demonic human suppression plan Fireflake was the first event where Chia Jinyun, a supporter of the main characters, gained honor. 13-year-old Chia Naeun was very proud of her brother becoming a hero. That was the main plot. Hajin then received another message. In the original novel, Jinyun was trustworthy and a supporter of Kim Soho. However, the co-author decided that there were too many supporters for the main characters, so the plot had been changed. 4 years ago, Jinyun received the devil's branding during the incident and became a devil's seed. Hajin was horrified. Meanwhile, Naeun was in the hospital, reflecting on the incident. Suddenly, her father arrived, surprising her. She asked why he had left his work to come. Her father replied that work wasn't the issue and inquired about her health. She assured him she was fine. She then asked if she could see her brother before leaving, and he allowed her to do so. The devil's seed. Higher-ranked demons leave a branding on humans, turning them into a devil's seed. A human that becomes a seed germinates over time and emerges as a powerful demon. Hajin had set the incubation period to 5 to 6 years, meaning more than half of that time had already passed. Hajin decided that before the demon awakens inside Jinyun's body, he would have to kill him. Hiring a human or a mercenary to assassinate someone from one of the big families was not an option. With no signs of seed incubation, it was impossible to report and deal with it. Currently, Kim Soho was not strong enough. Even if heroes came to fight, they would have to sacrifice their lives, which would disrupt the future storyline. Naeun sat beside her brother. Hajin realized he had no choice but to kill Jinyun himself. Naeun told her brother about the incident, expressing her confusion about how a bullet could create such a deep wound on a demonic human. She stopped talking when a nurse informed her that visiting hours were over. After saying goodbye to her brother, she stepped outside, recalling Hajin's words. Furious, she resolved to seek revenge. In the Tower of Heroes, Vice Captain Yoon Sunga was illegally accessing information in a national facility without permission. Despite the risk, she wasn't worried. She wanted to find records of the ambush incident in the museum. During her search, she discovered light attribute mana on the top of a demonic human and suspected that one of the people who defeated the demonic human was able to control it. She believed that this person could become a great asset against the demonic humans, so she was eager to recruit them. The demonic human had been defeated by 3 cube cadets. Kim Suho and Chai Naeun were already known to her. Then she discovered that the third person was rank 934, Kim Hajin. Meanwhile, Kim Hajin was sitting in the training center when he realized that other people couldn't see his laptop. He discovered that a new function had been added to it. Minor story changes, like the character Damien's drop in confidence, were now being notified to him. The function would alert him if there were any story changes within a 30-meter radius. As Hajin was sitting there, Chai Naeun approached him from behind and asked him for a spar. Hajin was hesitant and declined. She taunted him, asking if he was scared. Hajin replied that he didn't want to get scolded for using real ammunition against cadets. This angered her. An instructor intervened, stating that Hajin couldn't spar with other cadets since he didn't have a training weapon, and asked her to leave. Naeun left, frustrated. Hajin's top priority at that moment was to kill her brother. He knew that if he improved his relationship with her, she would only feel a much greater sense of betrayal later on. In the Veritas Club, the club president, Yoon Hyun, welcomed everyone. The purpose of the club was monster analysis and raid strategy research. People were charmed by his attractive appearance, which was all part of his demonic ability. In the novel, various incidents like cadets going missing and the infiltration of monsters take place, with Yoon Hyun being at the core of these events. He possessed a captivation ability granted by the demon, making him a demonic human. His target was Yuyona. Yoon Hyun presented a hologram of a high intermediate grade monster, a mountain tyrant. Information about high-grade monsters is extremely valuable, and details about their vital points can be sold for at least billions. The club president asked if anyone knew information about the monster's vital points. Yuyona replied currently, there is no information available. He explained that since they were in the club, they would discuss these topics, and those who wanted to participate in the discussion could join the after-party. Hajin asked Yuyona if she was going to join. She ignored him and walked past. Hajin asked again, this time formally, if she was going to the after-party. She replied that she was, as she might get some useful information. Hajin then asked if she was planning to share it with her guild's raiding team. 50 years ago, When dungeons and towers first appeared, Yuyona's family played a key role and now leads one of the top guilds in Korea, the Guild Essence of the Spirit. Hajin mentioned that he heard their vice guild leader was quite strong, to the point that Yuyona, the legitimate successor, felt threatened. Yuyona asked him what he was trying to say. Hajin offered her information about the mountain tyrant's weakness. He explained that if they attacked a very small pattern on the back of its heel, it would stop moving. In return, he asked for a desert eagle from her guild's weapon armory. Yuyona, thinking he sounded so confident, asked if he had proof. He replied, nope. There was a moment of silence. She was quite angry and regretted expecting anything from him. Hajin wondered if she ignored the information, which was worth billions, then it would be useless. But if she believed him, he would gain a reliable ally who'd be known as Seoul's king in the future. Yuyona decided to contact her guild and informed them about the mountain tyrant's weak point. In the next scene, Hajin was devastated to discover that Kim Jong-hak had taken a loan of 300 million won and spent it all. Hajin thought that instead of returning to his world, he would die paying off the debt. Currently, there were two ways to make money legally. The first was through stocks. Guilds were created to find and raid dungeons, and the stocks of public guilds could be purchased from stock markets. Hajin already knew which guilds would grow big, but he didn't have any money to invest. The second method was field hunting. A field is a danger zone where monsters appear, and one can immediately trade in the bodies of monsters for money. However, his stats were only a little better than the average man's, and upgrading the cube's gun with SP would be a waste. Suddenly, there was a knock on his door, telling of his arrival of a package. He wondered who had sent him a package. He opened the door and saw a package. It was a desert eagle. In the Gungwon Wonju field region, a lady at the counter welcomed Hajin after he used the portal. Hajin thought she was really nice to a cube cadet. He stepped outside and admired the beautiful scenery of the city. This region had relatively low danger fields, and many foreigners were also hunting all over. People were searching for party members, and some were selling potions. A member of an agency was offering 600,000 won in exchange for 3 hobgoblins. Hajin realized it would be more advantageous to sell to the agencies. As he was contemplating this, a man approached him from behind and asked if he was there for the hunt. Hajin inquired if he was an agent. The man replied yes and started searching for his card. He handed Hajin his card, and Hajin noticed that he seemed a bit clumsy. Upon seeing the card, Hajin read the name Park So-hyuk, leader of the SH agency. Hajin knew that Park So-hyuk's agency would become the best agency in Korea and that he would be Kim Suho's agent. Hajin never thought he would meet him in such a place. Hajin agreed to form a contract with him. This world was just the beginning of the novel, and there were many characters who hadn't realized their true potential yet. Park So-hyuk was really happy to find his first customer and promised to provide the best service. Hajin then wondered if it was okay to take away Kim Suho's agent. They reached the fields, and Hajin asked if it was okay for him to follow them. Park So-hyuk replied that Hajin didn't need to worry about him, and he could leave him if things got dangerous. Park So-hyuk noticed hobgoblin footprints and suggested hunting them, mentioning that they could be sold for 200,000 to 300,000 won each. Hajin was unsure about this because one magic bullet cost 200,000 won, and hunting a more expensive monster would be better for making a larger profit. Then, Hajin saw a steel boar and suggested hunting it. Park So-hyuk said they couldn't defeat it with guns and bullets, as they wouldn't even break through its skin. Hajin confidently said he could handle it and took out a desert eagle. Park So-hyuk was shocked to see it. Hajin had also added new settings to the gun using SP points. He took aim and shot a bullet, which pierced through the steel boar, killing it immediately. Park So-hyuk was in disbelief. Hajin then spotted another monster and shot at it. It was a black pelican monster, miles away from them. Park So-hyuk was impressed that Hajin could see that far. After gathering the steel boar and black pelican, Hajin asked how they could carry them outside. Park So-hyuk suggested hiring people and began calculating how much profit they could make. They thanked each other for today's field hunting. Park So-hyuk asked Hajin where he was going to use all of his money. Hajin replied, the stock market. A new guild, Pack Horse Masters, was founded by demonic humans. There was a dungeon that this guild planned to attack, and after this dungeon attack, Pack Horse Master stock was expected to increase by 1,000%, guaranteeing profits. Hajin wondered if there were any other ways to make money. He recalled a shady website like Violet Society. Then he remembered another group, the the Chameleon Troupe, the main villains in the latter half of the story. All of the members' identities were concealed, and the only person who had information about their activities and location was Hajin. Even though they were a criminal organization, they hated demonic humans. Hajin thought that if he could meet the leader, they might help him kill Chai Jingyun. As he was pondering this, his laptop suddenly turned off. Hajin was worried because this might be his only way to return to his world. Then it turned back on and began to auto-update. Meanwhile, Yuna and Jong-hak met in a cafe. People stared at them, wondering if they were celebrities. Yuna asked about his grades. Jong-hak replied that they were fine. Yuna said that the Jong-hak she knew would only be satisfied with being number one. Jong-hak insisted it was fine. Just then, Naeun entered. Jong-hak got up and went towards her, asking if her health was okay. She wasn't happy to see him and said she was fine. They completely forgot about Yuna. Naeun then asked if they knew Kim Hajin. Yuna asked what about him. Naeun told them about the demonic human incident. She explained that she was with Kim Suho and Hajin when it happened. The enemy was too strong, and Kim Hajin shot off the arm of a demonic human with a handgun. She said he seemed suspicious. Naeun then asked Yuna what she thought about him since they were on the same team. Yuna conducted some background checks on Hajin. She discovered that he was an orphan and currently 300 million won in debt. They couldn't understand how he was able to find the vital point of the mountain tyrants. Knowing that he wouldn't reveal his secrets if asked, she instructed investigators to continue probing into his background. Yuna remarked that he didn't seem impressive at first. She wondered if he really had the power to break through the demonic human's arm and suspected that he might be hiding something. Naeun suggested, what if he is a demonic human? Yuna dismissed the idea, stating that demonic humans would not attack their own kind. They continued to speculate about what Hajin could be hiding. Jong-hak stood up and declared that he would deal with Hajin. Meanwhile, Hajin's laptop update was almost complete. Suddenly, his wrist started glowing, and he felt intense pain. He heard a voice saying, "The stigma is a creator's authority and contains magic powers." His head was bombarded with information, and he couldn't bear it, falling to the floor. A mysterious pattern appeared on his hand. The update had improved his observation and reading skills. Soon after the museum incident, the 3 cadets who fought the demonic human were awarded the Exemplary Citizen Award. Hajin could still feel pain from the mark that had appeared, but he needed to figure out what update he had received. Naeun told him to shut up, though Hajin hadn't said anything. She repeatedly told him to shut up. Hajin reminded her that he had saved her life. Annoyed, she started arguing with him. Suho intervened and told Naeun to exchange seats with him. Suho thanked Hajin, saying that without him, they wouldn't have won. Hajin replied that they would have won without his help anyway. Without him, Suho might have awakened even stronger powers because main characters always get stronger in the face of danger and hardship. After a while, a hero came to present the awards. Yu Si-hyuk, ranked 37th, began the ceremony and called for the award recipients. He asked if he was Kim Suho. When Suho confirmed, Yu Si-hyuk advised him not to join the association, suggesting it might be better for him to work as a hunter since heroes have many responsibilities and there's no fun. Suho responded that he felt suited to being a hero. Yu Si-hyuk remarked that Suho was no fun. Then Yu Si-hyuk saw Naeun and mentioned it had been a long time since they last saw each other. She called him master and greeted him, but he corrected her, saying he wasn't a master of an archer, which made her feel embarrassed. Next was Hajin. Yu Si-hyuk asked who he was, and Hajin introduced himself. Yu Si-hyuk handed the award and showed no interest. After the ceremony, Hajin went to a restaurant. He opened his laptop to explore the new features he got from the update. The update included the stigma, internet access, and the Book of Truth. The stigma could be used depending on Hajin's willpower. When he checked, it started to glow, so he quickly hid it and decided to examine it further when he got back to dorm. Next was internet access, which allowed him to use any website. The most important one was Violet Society, the most famous among non-public sites. It offered information, weapons, bounties, commissions, and acted as a trading place. There wasn't a hero who hadn't interacted with Violet Society. Normally, there were huge entrance fees to access the website, but Hajin could use points to register. While he was checking the website, Yunsunga approached Hajin and asked if he knew who she was. She said that after the ceremony, she had searched for him everywhere. She gave him a business card and mentioned that she was curious about something related to him. Although she acted very kind to people she was interested in, her real personality was quite different. She discarded anyone who didn't meet her standards. Hajin knew that making connections with her now could help him a lot, so he decided to show disinterest. He told her that he had nothing to say. Yoon Sunga insisted she was just trying to talk with him, but he rejected her request. She had only come to find Hajin because she saw him using a light attribute, and her attention was purely out of curiosity. However, because Hajin rejected her, her curiosity will turn into something else. When Hajin used the stigma's magic power, he could summon a dagger just by thinking about it. Magic power was a stat that greatly influenced gifts. Hajin never thought he'd be able to use magic or ancient weapons since he didn't belong to this world. However, he was happy that he could use a little bit of magic. The next ability was the Book of Truth, which contained the truth and would answer any questions within its permitted limits. He started with a simple question, asking his height. It answered correctly, consuming 1 SP point. Suddenly, his smartwatch started ringing. It was an emergency alarm, notifying him about a missing cadet. Hajin realized that the novel's second arc had started, the Cube's serial murder incident. As the plot progresses, 6 cadets go missing over a period of 1 month. This arc is especially important because the culprit's last target is Yuyona. Hajin thought that if the co-author intervened, there would be a huge problem and someone important might die. So, it would be better if he caught the culprit first. But then he realized that if he intervened without thinking it through, the story might change. Therefore, he decided to watch for now. In the training center, some cadets were bullying Hajin, taunting him by saying he should be ashamed if he was struggling to lift the bar. Kim Suho tried to intervene, but his friend held him back. Suho insisted that as class representative, he should do something, but his friend argued that Hajin had pissed off Jong-hak, and it would be inconvenient for him to get involved. He also mentioned that if Hajin had destroyed a demonic human, why would he tolerate being bullied? Hajin tried to lift the bar but failed badly. The class representative thought it must have been pure luck that Hajin defeated the demonic human. Suho then intervened to stop the bullying. An instructor arrived and asked about the commotion. The instructor brought the results of the last quiz and instructed the cadets to check quietly. To everyone's surprise, Hajin got first place. It was easy for him since he had cheated using the settings. Suddenly, a sword fell to the ground. A girl was completely shocked by her results. She was Rachel Elizabeth Louise, England's princess and Cube's third-ranked student. Until now, she had never been out of first place in tests in school. Hajin realized he had unintentionally hurt her pride. Back in her mansion, her people were congratulating her on her acceptance into Cube. She had promised everyone she would work hard to meet their expectations for the sake of her royal household in England. She apologized to her citizens for her failure. The professor admired Hajin's answers and advised everyone to learn from his attitude and improve. The phenomenon realm analysis subject was really difficult, and she was curious about how Hajin studied. Hajin had no clue what was going on. Rachel was determined to beat him next time. With the Book of Truth, Hajin can gain any information in this world as long as he has SP points. However, he doesn't have any immediate use for it. The next major issue is the second main story. The Cube isn't a safe place from demonic humans, and Hajin's current stats are not sufficient to fight them. However, thanks to the attention from Jong-hak's gang, he gained lots of SP points. He decided to upgrade his weapon. He added a function to upgrade his Desert Eagle into a sniper rifle, consuming 250 SP points. His gun quickly transformed into a sniper rifle and could also revert to a handgun. Next, he added arts. Arts use talent and physical skills. The most important skill for surviving an assassination as a sharpshooter is positioning, and the art useful for positioning is parkour. He felt its effects right away. Hajin received a group text about another cadet who had gone missing. All the cadets who disappeared before Yuyona got killed. 2 people had already been killed, and Hajin wondered if it was okay to let them just die. The next day, they had outside training. The instructor told everyone that it was a dungeon simulator made with magical engineering, and a puppet simulation of a real monster awaited them inside. The instructor warned everyone not to let their guard down even if it was just training. The Veritas and Cultivation classes would work together, with 2 teams from each class combined to make a larger group. Everyone gathered with their assigned teams. There were many traps and mysteries in the dungeon. Hajin made some attribute bullets just in case, but was confident that this would be easy. Suddenly, many story change alerts appeared, and he was confused about how the story had changed. One girl was scolding Soho for not gathering quickly. The characters' personalities had become crazier than before. From Team 8, a character named Jaden was being overly friendly with Yuyona, and his growth potential had increased by 0.5. Another character, Sven, had his mental state worsen, and the probability of him becoming encroached by a devil servant during the dungeon raid had heavily increased. Things were not looking good. There were two people Hajin had to be careful of. Jaden acts strong around the weak, but is weak against the strong, a typical selfish narcissist. Jaden introduced his teammates from his class. Yuyona introduced her teammates, except for Hajin. Sven, a government-funded international student, was one of Germany's future top heroes and liked Neon. Like other students, Sven joined Cube with the dream of climbing to the top. However, in front of other incredible students, he ended up being seen as merely above average. It was the first time he felt inferior and lost. As a result, Sven made the decision to sell his soul to the devil in order to gain immense power. But Hajin was particularly concerned about Sven during the dungeon raid. Hajin knew he had to stay vigilant, especially considering the unpredictability of Jaden and the potential threat posed by Sven's compromised mental state. Jaden approached Hajin and said he had heard a lot about him. But Hajin didn't like him and told him to get lost. Jaden replied that the rumors about him must be true then. People's perception of Hajin had reached rock bottom, largely due to certain rumors suggesting that Kim Hajin was using his position as a cadet to blackmail others and that he went to Seoul every weekend to enjoy himself. Hajin already knew where the rumors had started. Every team entered the dungeon one by one. When Team 8 entered, they came across lots of doors. Yuyona wondered which door they should take. Jaden was suggesting something, but Hajin interrupted, saying they should go through the 6th door. Jaden got pissed off, but Yuyona agreed with Hajin's opinion. She said that, even though he looks stupid, he has good eyes. Hajin chose the path where Naeun's team had gone. If Sven really signed a contract with a demonic human, it would be difficult for Naeun to handle herself. He couldn't afford to lose her, otherwise, the story would be messed up. Jaden complained that Hajin's attitude was pissing him off. Hajin told him to worry about the monster in front of them. Jaden said he couldn't see anything because of the dark. Hajin told him there was a salamander right in front of them. One of them shot a light arrow to check, and indeed, there was a salamander in the dark. Everyone got into their battle formation. Jaden asked if someone had a water attribute. Hajin thought he didn't have to battle yet. Yuyona took her whip and swung it towards the salamander, grabbing its mouth. Other teammates quickly jumped in, slamming it down. They easily defeated the salamander. Hajin noticed the electric spark from her whip and wondered if she had already reached the level of the Eve of Enlightenment. Hajin tripped over Yuyona, and they both fell. Yuyona got up and started beating Hajin, but then she stopped when their teammates spotted an arrow. Hajin realized it was a poison arrow from a demonic human, and when they fell, it had missed its target. Meanwhile, Team 3 was struggling. Sven had been hit by a poison arrow. Naeun picked Sven up on her back and was running from the monster. It was a huge Magna Golem. On the other side, small salamanders attacked Team 8, but they swiftly guarded themselves. One of them shot an arrow to take down a salamander, and the rest of the teammates quickly eliminated the remaining ones. They easily defeated all of them. Hajin thought everything was going smoothly, but he wondered if he hadn't been able to sense the poison arrow. Was it really a trap for training? He was suspicious. He sensed something behind him, a salamander preparing an attack. It launched its attack, but Hajin used his magic stigma to summon a wall of water. The salamander's fire breath was strong, but Team 8 was unharmed thanks to Hajin. They were in shock, wondering if it was really a fake dummy. Jaden got mad at Hajin, asking why he hadn't responded earlier when they were looking for water attributes. Hajin explained that it was the effect of disarming his magic defense. Yuyona intervened and stopped them. She thought Hajin might be lying about the magic defense. It wasn't something that could be purchased when he couldn't even afford a desert eagle. She wondered how someone who wasn't Kim Soho or Jong-hak could put an attribute in their magic, know the vital points of a mountain tyrant, and be able to put attributes in magic. She remembered Naeun's words about him being a demonic human. She was now suspicious of him. Meanwhile, an intermediate grade 5 monster was on a rampage. One cadet suggested killing it, but another advised waiting until other teams arrived. Sven's condition kept worsening. He felt helpless, and nothing seemed to be working for him. Suddenly, he heard a voice offering him the strength to become stronger, stating that the price was much lower than losing everything. Feeling desperate, Sven accepted the offer. The devil pulled his body towards itself, and Sven started screaming. The others didn't know what was happening to him. The magma golem heard his scream and immediately attacked them, but they managed to run away in time, with Neon carrying Sven on her back. The magma golem struck through the wall and knocked 2 cadets down. Neon dropped Sven, unsure of what to do, as the golem stared at her. She thought it couldn't be a puppet golem and feared she was going to die. Golem prepared an attack. Suddenly, an ice bullet hit the magma golem, stopping its attack. Neon was clueless until she saw Hajin holding a gun. A few minutes earlier, a path had been blocked. Jaden asked Hajin why there was a wall in front of them if he had said there would be a boss. Hajin was confused as well. He told them to break the wall. Jaden swung his sword but couldn't even scratch it. One of them spotted a gap. Hajin said they could go through there. Jaden complained that they couldn't climb a wall that high. Hajin used his parkour art to climb up the wall and quickly reach the gap. After a moment, the cave started shaking. The magma golem, initially stopped, began to move again and headed towards Hajin. Just in time, other cadets arrived and started attacking the golem. Neon, relieved, quickly picked up her bow and prepared an attack. The cadets were barely holding their ground. Suddenly, something flew and struck the golem. It was Sven. The golem attacked him, but he dodged. Meanwhile, Neon aimed carefully, determined not to repeat past mistakes. She shot an arrow that pierced through the golem's head, finally defeating the monster. The cadets could hardly believe they had beaten it. One cadet asked Neon how she managed to kill the monster. She replied that it was a finishing move. Sven wasn't completely demonified, but the process had only been delayed. He could turn into a demon at any moment. Neon noticed Hajin and approached him to thank him. His eyes sparkled, and he asked her to repeat it, which made her feel embarrassed. Chai Neon's life was riddled with tragedies. On her 6th birthday, she lost her mother to a demonic human, which made her determined to become a hero. From a very young age, she trained relentlessly. She couldn't form deep connections with anyone, believing that opening her heart meant revealing her weaknesses. Not many people ever heard words of gratitude from her, as her conversations often included more "I'm sorry" than "thank you." Hajin had written her character that way. Neon asked Hajin why he was letting Jong-hak harass him if he was this strong. Hajin replied that he couldn't beat them yet. Neon mentioned that she saw his power with the gun earlier. Hajin showed her his Desert Eagle, and she freaked out, telling him he would get expelled if they found out. Hajin explained that he only used it when absolutely necessary. Besides, he had figured out how to hide his weapon within his stigma so no one would find out. Despite this, she insisted that he was too powerful and asked if he had a gift that strengthened his firearms. Hajin said he had something like that. As she was leaving, she assured him she wouldn't tell anyone, then stopped and asked if he wanted to say something. Hajin said no. If Hajin apologized now, she might forgive him, but he couldn't do that because he wanted to maintain distance. He had to kill her brother. The instructor announced that the raid was suspended and they needed to exit quickly. Several problems had occurred during the dungeon raid, including malfunctioning cameras and real monsters invading the artificial dungeon. The instructors realized this too late. Although it was a serious incident, there were no casualties, so instead of dispatching outside agencies, the Cube decided to investigate the matter internally. The demonic human who had taken an executive seat at the Cube had successfully covered up the incident. The side effects of a contract with a demon include hypertrophy of emotion and obsession. In the worst-case scenario, Sven's emotions could get out of control while he is alone with Neon. To prevent that from happening, Hajin decided to check their tendencies. Using the software on his laptop, he could access anyone's private messages. He felt guilty for checking Neon's messages, but proceeded to open Sven's messages. According to the original plot, during the hunting club week, Sven goes berserk. He decided to follow them and head to the Gari dungeon. Hajin received a call from Kim Soho, who wanted to ask him something and asked if he had some time on Friday. Gari was called the Mecca of training by martial artists because of its pure and spiritual energy. However, the people who came to Gari were not only restricted to martial artists, there were also those who searched for valuable items in these mountains. Such as this man, who was lecturing by giving a set of instructions, which annoyed Hajin. Finally, after a long lecture, he let him go. As Hajin was running, he tripped and found a ginseng root. He ate it because it increased his variable stats by 2 for 30 minutes. He could have sold it for at least 700 million won. He was climbing a cliff that was so high he understood why no one had discovered it yet. In the middle of the Mtgari cliff lies an undead dungeon. The dungeon boss is an intermediate-grade monster, the Death Knight. However, Hajin is no match for him right now. But that doesn't matter because Hajin's objective was not the boss, but the dungeon's hidden stage. Skeletons attacked him, but Hajin quickly pulled out his gun and shot their heads. As more skeletons charged at him, he used his skill to find a path through them. He walked over the skeletons, taking care of them swiftly while he moved. He easily dispatched all of them and reached the Witch Evangel's abode, the hidden boss of Mtgari. In the future, she would set up Evangel Castle, the worst undead fortress in history. He came to this dungeon for 2 reasons: the growth-type weapon Ether and Evangel's Seed. Ether is a weapon that made the character Tomer, a demonic human, an executive of wickedness. He reached the place and saw a tree glowing with gems, and there was a little girl, the witch, still not mature. He had to deal with her while her body and intelligence were incomplete. He wasn't ready to kill her, but it had to be done. Besides, Hajin was the one who created her. A witch couldn't be killed by a gun, so he unleashed his stigma to turn the light attribute into a spear. He threw the spear towards her, and a bright light flashed. She was still alive, but her body started to disintegrate, releasing energy, and then she disappeared. She became the Evangel Seed, and he successfully acquired the Ether weapon. All of Hajin's stats increased by 0.6 due to Ether, and its master cannot be changed. Hajin was already handling it pretty well and was confident that it would get even better as it grew. The most important thing he obtained was the Evangel Seed. Hajin was sure it would become an ally if it grew well. To grow the Evangel Seed, it must be fed a small amount of blood. However, since the witch's nature and tendency change depending on whose blood it is fed, he has to be careful about whose blood he uses. He couldn't just go and ask the main characters for their blood, so he decided to put that aside for now. Next on his list was to deal with Sven going berserk. The hunting club president welcomed everyone. Hajin wasn't sure how things would go since he didn't narrate the general ending. Naeun gets severely injured, and Sven dies from the aftermath of the demonic human's rampage. This incident was a plot to make Kim Soho care more about Naeun by making them think demonic human's target was Naeun. Then Yuyona also gets kidnapped. But the fact that bothered Hajin the most was that Sven's settings were different from the novel. He hadn't gone berserk and was even using the power of demons very slightly. Hajin was worried that if he fought him right away, he would lose. Naeun noticed him and wondered why he was glaring at her. Sven alerts Naeun about the recent disappearance of cadets. Naeun told him that Hajin was not the type of person who would do such things. Then they went hunting. Sven hunted a few deer with his demonic powers. When Naeun arrived, he quickly hid it. Naeun captured 1 deer but was surprised to see that Sven had already hunted multiple deer. Naeun lost a bet and asked what he wanted to ask her. Hajin watched them from afar, ready to intervene if Sven went berserk. Sven asked Naeun if she wanted to go out with him. She quickly turned him down, saying they had only been acquainted for a week. She added that she only likes guys who are stronger than her. These words angered him. As she was leaving, he quickly attacked her with his demonic powers. But to his surprise, Hajin arrived just in time and blocked the attack with Ether. He asked Naeun if she was okay. However, as he was distracted, Sven attacked him from behind and grabbed his throat. Hajin struggled. Naeun concentrated her magic powers, imitating a bright light. There are few characters with great potential who cannot bring out their full potential because they chose the wrong weapon. Naeun is the greatest out of all of them, using a weapon that doesn't suit her. She summoned a huge sword using her magic powers and slashed Sven into pieces. She completely destroyed him. Hajin acted surprised and asked her what it was. She didn't know what it was. He asked if she was okay. She said yes, but then she started getting dizzy and fell. After a while, Hajin picked Naeun up on his back and carried her to her dorm. She freaked out and told him to let her down. He put her down, but her leg wasn't moving. She was trembling. Hajin explained that it was magic power exhaustion, a state that occurs when a user has overused their magic power. He told her she wouldn't be able to move for at least a day. She finally agreed to get on his back again. As they walked, Hajin asked if she planned to keep using the bow. She asked why he was asking that all of a sudden. Today, Naeun had unconsciously unleashed her gift. It was a supreme sword that could massacre hundreds of monsters and even demonic humans with a single slash. She could become unmatched in large-scale all-out wars, an overlord of the battlefield. However, for that to happen, she would have to let go of her bow. Naeun got annoyed with him for asking such a question. When they arrived near the portal custom, Hajin put her down and told her to find her own way from there. The next day, people were talking about the incident where Naeun was attacked by Sven, who turned out to be a demonic human. Hajin reached the classroom where Kim Soho welcomed him. There were several other important characters present as well. The day before the hunting club incident, Soho had asked Hajin to spare some time for him. When Hajin asked why, Soho brought up the incident where several cadets had gone missing. He explained that Cube had entrusted some cadets with the task of investigating the disappearances. Cube had selected a few trainees, based on their grades, for the mission to track down the culprit. Since the culprit was suspected to be a trainee, it would be easier to track them from the inside. Hajin asked what this had to do with him. Soho mentioned that he had heard Hajin had keen eyes and that Naeun had recommended him for the task. Soho thanked Hajin for coming and started the meeting by sharing his theory. He said he didn't think the culprit was the same demonic human who attacked Naeun. Jong-hak interrupted, threatening him to not call Naeun by her first name as if they were friends. Soho corrected himself, referring to her as Chai Naeun. Soho then explained that it was highly likely Chai Naeun was the next target of the demonic humans. Since Sven had failed, another demonic human would surely attempt to attack her. He asked if anyone had any suspicions or had noticed someone acting strangely. Hajin knew who the culprit was, but was waiting patiently for them to expose themselves. However, unlike in the novel where 6 victims disappeared over 2 months, 3 people had already gone missing in the span of 2 weeks. He was worried that at this pace, even more victims would disappear. Remembering Naeun's words, he decided he couldn't just sit and watch as danger loomed over them. Hajin raised his hand and suggested that the academics club leader, Hyun, seemed suspicious. Soho said that Hyun had an alibi and that they had already investigated the people who were close to the first victim. Hajin countered, asking what if the victims had gone to Yoon Hyun themselves. Jong-hak scoffed, suggesting Hajin was implying that a trainee with mere mental magic had lured them. Yona interrupted, questioning why Hajin was trying to prove Hyun was the culprit when they had already said he has an alibi. She pointed out that compared to the club leader, the chances of Hajin being a demonic human were higher. Hajin didn't know how to respond. Soho defended him, saying Hajin also had an alibi as he used a portal around the time of the crime. Yona retorted that portal records could easily be fabricated. A character named Kim Horak stood up, suggesting they beat Hajin to investigate further. Others seemed to enjoy the idea. Hajin laughed and agreed to the fight, despite Soho's attempts to calm them down. Hajin suggested they ask Chai Naeun to confirm his innocence. A ball flew towards Hajin, who barely dodged it. Jong-hak angrily threatened him to keep Naeun's name out of his mouth. Hajin mentioned that they had worked together to kill the demonic human during her attack, accusing Jong-hak of playing childish tricks instead of listening. This enraged Jong-hak, who stood up as Hajin began to leave. As Hajin was leaving, he tripped, and Kim Horak came at him with a strong punch. Hajin dodged, causing Horak to miss and blow up the door instead. Everyone was shocked, including Horak. Hajin pulled out a gun, but Soho intervened with his sword, stopping the situation from escalating. Soho told Yona that if she was so suspicious of Hajin, she should ask Naeun. Hajin left the classroom. Naeun confirmed to Yona that there was no way Hajin could be a demonic human, leaving her at a loss for words. Hajin was stressed. He didn't know what he was even doing. Not only had he fallen into the novel he wrote, but he was also having emotional disputes with the characters he had written with love. He felt slick with everything and deeply missed his friends and family. He wondered how time was flowing in the original world. If it was flowing normally, then he would be considered missing, and he worried about his parents and whether they were sad because of him. He questioned if he could even go back in the first place. A message appeared, saying his perseverance had increased. This made him somewhat happy. It was good that his perseverance had increased, otherwise, he would have definitely given up on returning. He got up, determined to go back home no matter what. Soho returned after searching for Hajin but failed to locate him. Yona asked Horak if he had used his gift earlier. She turned away, remarking how a mere sharpshooter had dodged the attack of a martial arts expert. Suddenly, she received a message from club president Yoon Hyun asking if they could meet in the study room before the club meeting. She agreed to meet him. He was completely covered in blood and had an evil laugh. The next day, Hajin was in class and Suho was feeling sorry for him. Naeun had recovered from her injuries and came to school. Suho asked about her health, but Jong-hak wasn't happy with Suho being too close to Naeun. Class started, and the professor announced that the midterm exams were less than a week away. There would be a theory exam followed by a practical exam. The practical exams would be assessed based on two categories: duels between trainees and battles against monsters summoned by mages. The professor warned that this year's exams would be challenging. For Hajin, written exams were easy, but duels posed a problem. Duels required the use of one of 3 nomination tickets each trainee was given, allowing them to nominate a trainee they wished to fight. While it might seem like an opportunity for a higher-ranking trainee to earn points by defeating a lower-ranked one, the system adjusted points based on the rank difference. Even a rank 1 trainee would receive negative points if they won against a lower-ranked opponent. However, some trainees ignore the system and use their nomination tickets on people they dislike, aiming to defeat them. Another thing bothering Hajin was Rachel. She was too close to him. She didn't talk to him but kept hanging around him. She always used to study alone before. She was secretly peeking at his notes. Hajin wrote down some names, which confused her. They were his parents' names. Yoon Hyun texted Yoo Yona that he was in the study room. She arrived and he greeted her gently. Yoo Yona asked where the other club members were. He replied that they would join them soon. She noticed a scent of candles, and he explained that it enhanced focus while studying. Yoon Hyun mentioned that he had heard she joined the demonic human search team and he himself was part of the second-year search team. He expressed frustration over their lack of progress and asked if she had any suspects. Yoo Yona mentioned there was someone who had been making claims about him being a demonic human. Yoon Hyun asked if there was any evidence. She replied there wasn't, but then paused, realizing the implication of his question about evidence. He quickly corrected himself, but she saw through his facade and confronted him to show his true self. Yoon Hyun was exposed and used his power. Hube's second-year dormitory. Yoo Yona was tied to a chair, realizing that Yoon Hyun was indeed the culprit, a demonic human. Hajin wasn't just bluffing. She needed to send a distress signal for help. Despite struggling, Yoon Hyun approached her and warned her against sending any messages. However, she had already managed to send a message to Hajin. Hajin wonders why she would send 9 to him. Yoon Hyun takes her watch, claiming no one would understand the gibberish she sent. Upon seeing the message sent to Kim Hajin, Yoon Hyun realized that Hajin suspected him of being a demonic human and decided to kill Hajin. Yoo Yona mentioned that the search team likely knew and was on their way. Yoon Hyun dismissed it, stating that he would leave Cube once it was all over. This angered Yoo Yona, which pleased him as his demon lord, Lilith, desired to see her fear. Hajin was puzzled over the meaning of 9. After some thought, he realized that 9 in Korean is pronounced as save. He quickly aced his book of truth about Yoo Yona's location. Meanwhile, Yoon Hyun was attempting to brainwash Yoo Yona, but she resisted fiercely with her willpower. He praised her determination, but insisted that she would eventually give up. He began to unleash his abilities to fully control her mind, but suddenly, a bullet pierced his head. Yoo Yona was shocked, and the demonic human screamed in pain. Hajin told Yoo Yona that if she had listened to him, she wouldn't have ended up in this situation. Yoon Hyun asked where he was. Hajin explained that it was a specially made bullet that wouldn't easily come out unless surgically removed. Yoon Hyun searched for Hajin, but Hajin was far away, shooting with a sniper rifle. He took aim and fired multiple shots at Yoon Hyun. Finally, Hajin lined up a final shot and fired. Hajin instructed Yoo Yona to rest while the search team would arrive soon. Grateful for saving her life, Yoo Yona thanked him. The next day, Yoo Yona woke up in the hospital with Kim Suho sitting beside her. He reassured her that the doctor said she was totally fine. She freaked out and asked him what he was doing there. Suho explained that they were taking turns nursing her since it was partially their fault. They should have taken better care of the search team members, but they had been focused on other things. She asked him why he was so stubborn. Initially, she thought he was just some talented guy, but now she realized she had misunderstood him. Remembering Hajin, she asked if he had come too. Suho looked confused, and she got embarrassed and changed the subject. In the next scene, Yoo Yona thanked Hajin for saving her life, and she promised to repay him. As a result, Hajin's SP increased and his skills upgraded. He realized this was the first time he had earned so many points from a single action. While pondering this, someone called him. It was Park So-hyuk. Before listening to anything, Park So-hyuk began to beg, saying if Hajin wanted to withdraw from the contract, he should reconsider. Hajin interrupted, saying he wasn't going to withdraw, and showed him a suitcase, stating he wanted to invest in SH Entertainment. Park So-hyuk was confused. Hajin had posted a ginseng on Violet Society and received 400 million won. He invested 250 million in Packhorse Masters and another 150 million in SH Entertainment. The growth of SH Entertainment was just as certain as Packhorse Masters. Park So-hyuk apologized and said he couldn't accept such a large sum of money. Hajin explained that he was giving this money so they could both grow bigger and asked him to buy a magic pouch and an SUV for him. Hajin told him to speak casually with him. Park So-hyuk initially refused, saying he couldn't speak casually to an investor. Hajin then threatened to cancel the investment deal. Park So-hyuk finally agreed to speak casually. Hajin asked him to accompany him to the convenience store. When they arrived, Park So-hyuk asked why Hajin was scratching lottery tickets all of a sudden. Hajin replied that he was still a minor and couldn't claim the prize without a guardian. His luck was in effect, and he won a prize of 20 million won. Park So-hyuk couldn't believe it and freaked out. Hajin decided to invest that money as well and asked him to send an edited version of the contract. In the next scene, we see a warehouse where a shadow was moving and someone appeared from the shadows. It was a kid telling his captain that they had started making moves. He mentioned that the Packhorse Master had been listed and asked what they should do next. The captain replied that they would just take the item and leave the rest. The kid added that someone was buying Packhorse Master stocks, investing 3 million, 10 million, and then suddenly 250 million. He questioned whether that was too much money for someone to invest in a guild that didn't even have a guild page. The captain said to forget about it and focus on what they had to do. The kid mentioned that Cube's midterm exams were starting tomorrow, with the hot topics being Rank 1 Kim So-ho and Rank 2 Shin Jong-hak. He noted that a few of their members were planning to infiltrate and asked if she was also planning to participate. She said yes, and hoped there would be someone useful. Time flew by, and Cube's practical week of midterm started. During this week, Cube opens up to hero employment agencies like guilds and the association, as well as the families of the cadets. A huge crowd from all over the world gathered, and reporters were broadcasting the event. Multiple drones were flying around, and Hajin also received some drones from Park So-hyuk. He sent these drones over Cube to increase the probability of finding intruders. Someone bumped into Hajin, and he quickly apologized. It was the captain of the chameleon troop. He almost forgot that she would also come for the practical exams. He stared at her, then quickly realized he had locked eyes with her for too long. To avoid looking suspicious, he decided to say something. He told her she was very pretty. There was a moment of silence. Then she quickly turned and moved forward. She then told her men that the person she passed earlier saw her through the perception-blocking item and asked to investigate him. Not only heroes who came to scout for trainees, but also the chameleon troop are here. Their objective is to scout either Kim So-ho or Shin Jong-hak. Since So-ho doesn't fit in with their beliefs, he is disqualified, and they focus on Shin Jong-hak. That's how the story goes. Their infiltration shouldn't cause much of an issue, but if the story changes and they start fighting the exam site's security heroes, it won't end with just 1 or 2 people dying. Meanwhile, the heroes didn't see any suspicious persons. Another hero suggested not to let their guard down, as enemies could be anywhere. One hero said they could just eliminate them before they become a problem. While they were talking, a member of the chameleon troop was impressed that someone saw through the perception-blocking feature and noticed their captain. He was finally getting interested, as he had seen only weaklings here. A kid named Drun was gathering information about Hajin. The duels began in the second arena. The commentator announced that the first match would soon begin and mentioned that it was a duel in which a nomination ticket had been used. Hajin was heading towards the arena when Yuna stopped him. Hajin told her his duel was first, so he was heading for the arena. She quickly called a guy and offered 100 top-grade bullets to Hajin. She told him he couldn't use them during tests, but otherwise, he could use them however he wanted. She also mentioned that she wasn't trying to call it even with just something like this for saving her life. It was just a gift. She added that she hadn't told anyone that he helped her during the demonic human incident. Hajin told her to keep hiding it, as it might get complicated if Lilith's other demonic humans found out about him. Yuna said she understood that he was hiding his power, but she told him he couldn't win the practical exam like that. She asked if he knew who his opponent was. In the waiting room, Kim Horak was preparing for his duel and was determined to crush Kim Hajin. A Drun dug into Hajin's past and found that he used to be an orphan and had no relatives. He was admitted to a military school at the age of 6. He was a low intermediate rank student who didn't do anything special to attract attention and eventually got into Cube. The captain wondered how he saw past the perception-blocking items and noticed her. As she was pondering, one of her group members arrived. He greeted her. His name was Jung-young. The captain asked what he had found. He replied that he found nothing. They were all weaklings. The Drun asked if he had seen any cadets who left an impression. He mentioned there was one second-year, first-grade student and nothing else. The announcer announced the fight between Hajin and Kim Horak. Jung-young remembered the guy who had noticed the captain and decided to check it out. Meanwhile, the heroes were enjoying themselves, eating and not perceiving any threats. One of the heroes noticed someone looking at them and smiling. She notified the others, who thought maybe he was just a fan. Cadet rank 19, martial artist Kim Horak, entered the arena. Hero stated that while Horak wasn't in the top 10, he was still pretty decent. Checking his opponent, she found Kim Hajin was ranked 934. The duel was about to begin. Hajin teased Horak, asking why he looked so fierce and telling him to chill out, which only made Horak angrier. Kim Horak's specialty was using the mana within his body to manifest an invisible layer of enhanced protective energy. Training ammo usually couldn't penetrate his armor. The match started, and Kim Horak charged at Hajin with full speed. Hajin, prepared, activated his skill bullet time. He had increased the amount of time he could maintain it. He could hold it for at least a minute, which allowed him to catch up with Horak's speed. Horak smashed the ground, but Hajin dodged and started running, with Horak chasing him and throwing punches. At that moment, Hajin pulled out his gun and shot at Horak. Horak, confident in his enhanced protective energy, thought he would easily deflect a mere bullet. To his surprise, the bullet broke through his protection layer and hit him. He couldn't believe what had just happened. The audience was in shock, wondering how a bullet could pierce his protective layer. Horak was still processing this when multiple bullets shot at him from different directions. He was in pain and barely moving. Hajin had infused mana into his bullets using his stigma, giving them anti-demon properties. Horak was barely hanging on, which made him angrier. He smashed the whole arena, and Hajin jumped into the air. Hajin threw a knife and told Horak to dodge it before it could hit him. Horak quickly dodged it, but Hajin mocked him, saying it was just a normal knife, and shot more bullets. Horak fell to the ground, trembling. Hajin moved forward to finish the battle. Everyone's eyes were on him as he was about to pull the trigger, but then he stopped. Horak was confused. People wondered if Hajin had run out of bullets. They both looked at each other, and then Hajin surrendered. Everyone was so confused. The duel ended with Kim Horak winning, but he wasn't happy about it. A hero asked for others' impressions of the match. She said Hajin did well while Horak was premature. Horak should have dominated in combat, but she was impressed with Hajin's unimaginable firing speed and dynamic visual acuity that could keep track of martial artists' gifts. She wondered if he had some special gift. Additionally, she noted that Hajin infused bullets with mana. Another hero couldn't believe he could infuse mana to break through enhanced protective energy as a cadet. Other guild members were informing their guilds about what had just happened in the match. After the duels were over, Jung-young said he didn't like Kim Hajin. He scoffed at the idea of a small guy shooting from far away, questioning why the captain would even be interested in someone like that. Drun mentioned that Hajin used demon-slaying powers during the battle and said that Jung-young just dislikes him because Hajin is a ranged fighter. Jung-young said that real battles involve close combat, with murderous intent to pierce death into each other. Drun then asked if he had seen Kim Soho and Kim Jong-hak. Jung-young replied that both of them looked pretty good. He was impressed by Kim Jong-hak's distinctive style of immediately aiming for the enemy's vitals without any prior information. As for Kim Soho, he noted that Soho used a sword dance type of swordsmanship and felt like he was hiding his true colors. When Drun brought up Hajin again, Jung-young got mad, asking why he was including him. Drun explained that the power of demon slaying was what their captain was looking for. As they were talking, a guard came from behind and asked who he was. Jung-young didn't like being questioned. The guard asked him to leave immediately. Jungyang flicked the guard on the head, killing him instantly. Drun asked if he had killed the guard. Jungyang replied yes, and Drun said that the captain was going to be mad. Meanwhile, the captain stood near the railing, lost in flashbacks. She remembered standing at a grave, where she had vowed to find the traitor no matter what and seek revenge. She ordered Drun to check on Suho, Jong-hak, and Hajin. She said that the power of demon-slaying that could break through demonic bodies and asked to make Hajin the top priority. Drun questioned if it was alright since there wasn't much information on him. She dismissed his concern, stating that she would meet him personally. On the second day of midterms, big guilds were present. The cube ranking matches featured a duel between rank 3 Rachel and rank 4 Chai Naeun. The second fight was between rank 1 Kim Soho and rank 8 Yohei. People were excited for this match. Hajin explained that in today's matches, Naeun would likely be defeated by Rachel because it's impossible to beat Rachel with a bow. The match between Rachel and Naeun began. Naeun, confident, immediately shot arrows at Rachel, who effortlessly dodged them all. Naeun was in shock. While the match was ongoing, the captain approached Hajin and sat beside him. Hajin recognized her as a black-level criminal wanted by the Hero Association, the captain of the infamous Chameleon Troop, a strong individual who hid herself under countless names. In this world, only Hajin knew her true identity. Suddenly, a glass of juice spilled on her head. Hajin was afraid she might lose her temper. Meanwhile, Rachel won the match, and the captain remained calm. She said she saw Hajin's duel with Kim Horak and handed him her card. Hajin knew she was using a fake name. He mentioned that early contact with cadets was illegal, but he accepted the card anyway. She said she couldn't provide details, but assured him it would be good for him. As she was leaving, she told him to contact her. Hajin wondered why she had come to him. Kim Suho won his duel. After the duel was over, Hajin retrieved his drone and decided to check it in the dorm. Then, he heard someone crying. It was Naeun. Hajin remembered this event from his story. Kim Suho comforts Naeun because she's crying tears of defeat. This event would mark the beginning of Naeun's attraction to Kim Suho. Kim Suho never gives up, and he doesn't let anyone else give up either. Naeun might also not give up on her vow because of Kim Suho's encouragement. Hajin got an idea. He messaged Naeun, saying he saw her duel and that he was right. A sword fits her perfectly. He recommended she change her course. She was speechless. Then, Kim Suho arrived and told her he had been looking for her for a while. She turned into full rage mode, becoming furious at Hajin. The first semester midterm practical duels were now complete. After the duel, Hajin checked the footage from his drone. He saw how Jungyang killed a security guard. Hajin questioned whether he was from the Chameleon Troop. He was shocked to see that there are people who can kill without any hesitation for their own pleasure. Villains who possess transcendental strength, just like heroes. Hajin knew he couldn't just focus on the villains that appeared only in the existing novel story. Based on the co-author's changed novel, he didn't know what kind of villain might appear. The next practice exam was a monster battle. A mage introduced herself and explained the conditions of the exam. She showed the place where participants would fight monsters that would be summoned by mages. She mentioned that this exam would be much more dangerous than any training session because the summoned monsters would have the same attack tendencies as real monsters. The monsters would not disappear immediately, even if the mages cancelled the summon. Their lives might be in danger if they refused to yield out of pride. The evaluation would be based on how long they lasted and how calmly they reacted. Team 1 was called. The rest of the cadets were observing. The examiner told them to observe carefully and, if they thought there could be a better way to fight, they could express their views. The exam started, and the mages summoned monsters. Each cadet received different monsters. Cadet Hazuki received an advanced ghoul. They battled fiercely while the other cadets observed. Team 2 entered the area and defeated their monsters easily. Naeun shot an arrow into the sky, and it fell on the monster, defeating it. Yuna also defeated her monsters effortlessly. Next was Hajin's turn. He received a chrome wolf. He took cover and shot multiple bullets. He thought if this continued, there would be no issue. Suddenly, the emergency alarm went off. Everyone was confused. Heroes received an alert. He wondered if intruders had entered the exam hall. A hero ordered everyone to stay on alert. Another hero hoped there would be nothing serious. Suddenly, someone appeared from behind. The hero noticed it. It was an intruder. They prepared for battle, but suddenly the water started moving like crazy. A huge waterspout tornado appeared out of nowhere. Examiners alerted the cadets that the exam had been stopped, and they had to evacuate immediately. Hajin couldn't understand why this was happening all of a sudden. An unknown person was approaching the exam hall. Inside the hall, Hajin was worried why the summons hadn't been cancelled yet. He looked for help but found no one nearby. He wondered why this happened and why he didn't receive any story change alerts. He recalled that he hadn't noticed any changes in the people within the exam building. This meant there was an intruder. An unknown man entered the building and stood in front of Rachel. He greeted her. There were tons of extras like Kim Jong-hak that had never been mentioned in the novel, and this was a story that Hajin didn't know about. Rachel called him Sir Lancaster and asked where he had been since the London incident that occurred 5 years ago. She noticed his eyes and understood that he had sold his soul to a demon. Frustrated, she asked why someone like him, a former Imperial Guard captain, would do this. He corrected her, saying he didn't sell his soul but that his new lord took his soul after he was betrayed by the very country he devoted his life to. Rachel lifted her sword, seeing no point in talking further. She charged towards him to attack, swinging her sword and slashing through his body. To her shock, her sword just passed through his body. He explained that this wasn't his real body and that appearing in front of her was just his way of having fun. He told her that it was chaotic outside due to the invasion of monsters, so no one would be able to help her. He mentioned that this was quite different from the usual United Kingdom that only treated the imperial family as top protection priorities while tens of thousands died without anyone paying attention to them. He recalled when he lost his lover. He was in a hurry, so he had to say goodbye. He turned around and vanished into black smoke. From inside that black smoke, an assassin emerged. He immediately charged towards Rachel and attacked her. She blocked his attack, but it was too strong. He launched multiple attacks, and ultimately, some hit her. Knowing she couldn't win head-on, she decided to take a risk and aim for an opening. The assassin struck her hand, causing her to drop her sword. She fell to the ground, but had one last move left. She had connected her sword to a mana string. When the assassin attempted a final blow, she launched her sword towards him. Suddenly, a wall burst open. Someone broke through it. The assassin quickly ran towards the intruder. It was Hajin, who swiftly transformed his Desert Eagle into a shotgun. Before the assassin could reach him, Hajin fired a shot, killing him instantly. He was amazed that it ended with only one shot, but it was expected since it cost 250 SP. Rachel couldn't see his face due to the light and wondered why he was there. Hajin approached her and asked if she was okay, which she definitely wasn't. He used some bandages on her wounds. Hajin told her that if he had been a little late, she would never have been able to wield a sword again. He then noticed her blood and realized he finally had the main character's blood. She thanked him for helping her. An instructor came and asked if they were okay. A mage informed them that 2 cadets in the next area were severely injured. The professor wondered who could have done such a thing. In the next scene, a hero was sitting near the shore. Another hero approached and asked about the intruders. The first hero said the intruder got away. He explains that a huge sea monster had appeared, and the intruder was able to use brute force to chase it away. The next day, the cube monster incident became well known all over the world, and the midterms were postponed. Both classes and tests were cancelled, and the cadets received an unexpected 10-day holiday. Everyone was delighted and started making plans, but the professors weren't happy about it. Hajin received a message from the co-author. Alex Lancaster, after losing his loved one, became a demonic human, increasing his potential danger. Hajin remembered creating him and knew his objective would be to conquer the UK. He was worried that such a strong villain had appeared much sooner than in the original story. He regretted making a greater number of kind characters, but was glad that from this incident he was able to get Rachel's blood. Suddenly, someone bumped into him. It was Naeun. She made fun of him. As she walked to her dormitory, mocking Hajin about why he would pick a fight if he wasn't going to do anything. She received a message, an appraisal report from the test. Kim Suho wrote that it was a surefire victory, but noted that she lacked confidence. However, he praised her as a talented archer with exceptional potential and assured her that if she continued to advance on her current path, she would become the best hero. She got emotional reading his appraisal, feeling happy that choosing archery was a good decision. The next report was from an anonymous person. She was excited to read it, but as she continued, she started getting angry. After reading it, she became furious and screamed loudly. In the next scene, Hajin placed Evangel's seed on Rachel's blood. It slowly started consuming the blood. He knew that if he fed the blood to the seed, Evangel, the witch, would be born from it. As he touched the seed, it suddenly reacted with his body. His hand started glowing, and he realized it was a second stigma. He screamed in pain. The next day in the city, he was still feeling the pain. Park asked him why he looked so down. Hajin replied that he was just tired. He asked Park how his business was going. Park said that since he had an SUV now, doing business had become easier, and there were more customers as well. He thanked Hajin for all of this. They reached the entrance of the field and saw that there was a huge crowd. It was a guild, and people were amazed to see them. The guild members were from Essence of the Strait. Yuna was also there. Hajin wondered if she was there to do field hunting with her guild members. She saw Hajin and approached him, asking why he was on the field. He replied that he was there to hunt. He wondered why she was showing concern. He introduced his agent, Park. Hajin found the combination of Yuna and Park strange. Originally, he should have been Kim Soho's agent. Yuna finds out that Kim Soho made a contract with Park and decided to invest a ton of money into SH. As a result, it was a great success for both Park and Yuna. But the problem was whether Yuna would invest in SH without Kim Soho. In the worst-case scenario, he might end up blocking Park's bright future. She opened the door and sat inside to accompany Hajin. He was confused. As they were heading to the location, Yuna asked about his future. Hajin asked why she was so interested in his future. She clarified, asking again what he intended to do after graduation. He said he hadn't thought that far. She told him the midterm was already over and they wouldn't be in Cube in their third year because of their apprenticeship. Since he didn't have any specific plan, she asked if he was interested in joining Essence of the Strait. She mentioned that their guild was constantly in second place because of the holy grace of God, but she assured him that once she became the captain, she would make their guild the top in the country. She promised to support him with tons of high-ranking weapons and artifacts. She asked how he liked the offer. Hajin told her it was illegal to recruit cadets before they graduated and that it would be a 5 billion won fine for her. Park stopped the car abruptly, causing Yuna's face to slam into the front seat. She asked why he had stopped so suddenly. He replied that they had arrived at the Monster's Point. Yuna was shocked and asked how a normal agent knew about the Monster's Point. He explained that April is the month when the monsters inside the field start to get pretty rough, and there are smaller monsters that are driven to the vicinity. He said he picked this hunting spot after considering Hajin's sniping skills. He told her his agent was pretty capable. Hajin left for the hunt. Yuna got out of the car. Park asked her what she planned to do. She told him her guild members would be there soon. Before leaving, she asked for his business card. Days after the midterms, classes resumed and the cadets returned to Cube. Hajin was once again ranked first in theories, with Rachel in second. After punishing Kim Horak in the practical exams, the group that used to bully Hajin became quiet. He felt it was the most peaceful day since joining Cube. Suddenly, a punch narrowly missed his face. It was Naeun, furious, demanding an explanation about the report. The annoying tone in the report was obviously Hajin's. He told her he wrote it to help her. She retorted that she didn't ask for his help. Then she challenged him to a bet to prove his skill in long-range combat. Hajin agreed but added that if she lost, she would have to quit archery. She accepted his condition. Hajin then told her he would also use a bow instead of a gun and asked for some time to learn archery. Hajin's current master sharpshooter is at grade 7. If he gets to grade 6 with remaining time, then he should be able to win easily. Naeun was avoiding reality, to the extent that she thinks that just because she's talented at using swords, she's also talented at using bow. Just saying nice things to her won't help her, because she needs to get stronger. Meanwhile, in the Chameleon Troop's secret base, all the members gathered to discuss Hajin. One of them was impressed by Hajin's anti-magic bullet, and the others were also satisfied with his performance. One member asked the captain since when they had become a group that conducts analyses before recruiting someone. Another member noted Hajin's potential and liked the fact that he had no parents or lover. A female member questioned the relevance of this. He explained that having no one close would make it easier for Hajin to indulge in their activities. Another member reminded them that their top priority was to catch and punish traitors. If Hajin could help them achieve that, then they should recruit him. The female member mentioned that even if they recruited him, the only empty spot they had was the black position. She asked if they really wanted to give that spot to a newbie, the position recognized as the strongest and once held by the one who betrayed the former captain. Jung-yong jumped in, saying he could take the position of black. Other members immediately objected, calling it foolish. Drun suggested they vote. The captain told everyone to raise their hands if they wanted Hajin to join the chameleon troop. Almost everyone raised their hands, 8 agreed, and 2 objected. Jung-yong wasn't happy about it. The captain then showed a girl named Jane an invitation card to a Paris VVIP party and ordered her to steal a ring. Jane, who held the chameleon troop's yellow position, confidently said that stealing a single ring was nothing for her. The travel club president was glad that everyone was fine after the midterms incident. The academic and hunting clubs had been halted due to demonic human incidents. The club president told everyone that this time their destination would be Paris. Hajin remembered this arc, an assassination of the Persian multimillionaire. This arc starts with an assassin organization sending an assassination warning. The recipient would be France's multimillionaire, Bethel. Despite Bethel's peaceful personality and frugal lifestyle in his Paris mansion, it was all a lie. Bethel was a wicked fraud known as Barbel. He had accumulated his wealth through all sorts of nefarious deeds. Though he had managed to escape being caught so far, the darkness's footprint found was a real deal. Since he was a wanted man, he couldn't ask the police for help, and he didn't have enough time to hire protection. He was in a dire situation. One day, Bethel had an amazing idea when he saw some cube cadets visiting Paris. At a party, the travel club president was talking with someone when Bethel overheard that he was searching for accommodation where all the cadets could stay together. Bethel then suggested that they could all stay in his mansion. In the next scene, Naeun and Kim Soho were seen together. The travel club president confirmed everyone's presence and asked them to draw lots to make pairs. According to the novels, Yuna and Kim Soho were supposed to team up, and the rest would pair accordingly. They reached Paris via the teleportation port. Hajin and Naeun ended up as a pair. Hajin asked why she was complaining since she was the one who drew the lot. She was so mad at her luck. A girl came and hugged the club president. The other cadets weren't too happy about it. The club president introduced his girlfriend, Natasha, and told everyone that she was going to be the team doctor. Everyone went their own way and decided to gather together by 7 p.m. Naeun asked where he was going. Hajin replied that he wanted to eat first and asked if she was tagging along. She told him they were teammates. Hajin told her to follow him. She asked if he knew where to go, and Hajin told her he had done some research before coming here. He took her to a fancy restaurant. Naeun was amazed and asked how he had made a reservation at such a place. He told her he had his ways and handed her a menu to pick from. Hajin looked outside and noticed a familiar face. He immediately got up and went outside, wondering if the story had changed or if an unknown character had appeared. He saw a couple and recognized the girl, wondering what Yunsunga was doing in Paris. Upon seeing him, she freaked out. Hajin asked her what she was doing in Paris, but she pretended not to know him. He wondered why she was ignoring him as she hid behind her boyfriend. Hajin received a system alert and apologized to her for mistaking her for someone else. He opened his laptop and saw story change alerts. Due to anonymity, Jane and Yunsunga had become acquainted, which caused Yunsunga to appear in this chapter. Hajin understood why she was here. Jane and Yunsunga were both in the holy grace of God and had participated in several missions, experiencing various incidents together. For Yunsunga, Jane was the only person she called a friend. But, at the most critical moment, Jane had decided to betray Yunsunga. A room was on fire. Yunsunga was in a dire state and asked Jane why she had betrayed her. Jane's face began to melt. With a smirk, she replied that she thought it would be fun. Jane's true identity was the chameleon troop's yellow, Jane Valorine, a villain talented in stealing and making disguises. After leaving the restaurant, Hajin told Naeun that they should split up now and suggested she visit a place she wanted to see. He mentioned that the ball starts at 5 p.m., and if he wanted to find a good view of the buildings inside, he'd have to explore in advance. She agreed with him, and he reminded her not to get lost. At the ball, all the VIP guests arrived. Yuna and Kim Soho were also there, and people mistook them for celebrities. Yuna remarked that the effort she spent dressing Kim Soho was worth it. Hajin was standing outside on the rooftop when he saw Yunsunga as well. There was no major development until he noticed a mana portal. He knew things were going too smoothly. The only people who could create portals like that artificially would be demonic humans, specifically strong ones favored by powerful demons and possessing strong mana. The demonic human who opened that portal was already hiding somewhere in the party. Hajin received a story change message, a judgment point. There were too few people targeting the mythical grade item, which led to a demonic group, the Evil Society, getting involved in this chapter, thus changing the story. Evil Society, a demonic human group led by the presumed Kim Hakbyo, was notorious for relic plundering, terrorist attacks, and causing wars in various countries around the world. The number of chaotic incidents caused by Evil Society was uncountable. Hajin was really mad at the co-author. He called Ather and put on a mask. Meanwhile, someone was choking a waiter and knocking out everyone in the vicinity. This person approached a locker and opened it with his eyes. It was Jane in disguise, searching for Homer's ring. She found it, but just as she was about to reach it, Yoon-sunga appeared from behind and called out to her. The person whose disguise Jane wore was called Yorin. Yoon-sunga asked him what was doing there and how he would leave his position. She tried to approach him, then suddenly Yoon-sunga grabbed him from behind, lifted him, and gave him a suplex. The impact destroyed a wall, causing everyone to wonder if there had been an explosion. Emerging from the smoke was Jane, with Yoon-sunga chasing her. Jane asked how Yoon-sunga noticed her. Yoon-sunga charged at her, and Jane blocked the attack. Yoon-sunga replied that she couldn't help but notice how her closest aides spoke and walked. Jane remarked that she didn't recall Yoon-sunga being so meticulous in the past and, to provoke her, mentioned that being betrayed by her must have hurt a lot. Suddenly, Yu-yona's whip lashed out, grabbing Yoon-sunga's hand. Suho and Yu-yona readied themselves for the fight. Yoon-sunga asked who they were, and Yu-yona replied that they were cadets from the cube, instructing them to put their weapons down. Yoon-sunga used her talent to burn down the whip, shocking Yu-yona. Jane quickly attacked Yoon-sunga, but she managed to dodge. They exchanged multiple strikes, but Yoon-sunga delivered a devastating blow, causing Jane to fall and shattering her sword. Yoon-sunga prepared for a final blow, but Kim Suho intervened and blocked her attack. Yoon-sunga told them to get lost, but Suho insisted he couldn't just stand still when someone was in need. Enraged, Yoon-sunga struck him. In the commotion, Jane went missing and was seen running away. As Jane was leaving, a black smoke suddenly surrounded the area. Everyone was confused, and a demonic human managed to get their hands on Homer's ring. Hajin watched everything unfold from outside. Meanwhile, Naeun was getting increasingly annoyed as she kept getting lost, ending up in the same spot repeatedly. She tried calling Yu-yona, but there was no answer. She wondered what Yu-yona could be doing. Back at the scene, Yoon-sunga demanded the demonic human put the ring down immediately. The demonic human replied that it wasn't an item Yoon-sunga should have. Hajin realized that now that the Evil Society had the ring, there was a very low chance of retrieving it, even if everyone worked together. So, he decided to move to Plan B. He called for Ather and threw it towards the demonic human, swiftly snatching the ring from her hands. She was left bewildered, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Suddenly, Yoon-sunga charged at the demonic human, creating a diversion. Hajin got the ring but then felt another presence. Something approached at lightning speed. It was a second demonic human, who asked Hajin where he thought he was going with the ring. Hajin knew this situation was going to be troublesome. He introduced himself as Sidious and told Hajin that he was from the Evil Society. He complimented Hajin on his technique for stealing the ring, but then insisted that Hajin should hand it over since he was asking nicely. Hajin rejected his offer. Sidious pulled out a lightsaber and slashed toward Hajin. A dark red flame appeared over the roof as Hajin barely dodged the attack. The demonic human explained that it was a magic sword, costing at least several million. As long as the user has mana to infuse into it, it can be an incredibly powerful weapon. One of the benefits that demonic humans gain through their contracts is immense mana, and that sword is the best possible weapon for a demonic human. Sidious launched another attack, but Hajin managed to dodge it again. Hajin suggested they talk, but Sidious scoffed, asking why he would talk when he could simply kill Hajin and take the ring. He mocked Hajin, claiming that from a glance, he could tell Hajin was weaker than those inside fighting. He ridiculed Hajin's reliance on a gun, stating that all Hajin could do was dodge and questioning how he could face a demonic human. Sidious launched another attack, but his sword didn't work. Confused, he couldn't understand what had just happened. Hajin told him that the sword wouldn't work today because Hajin's extreme luck had weakened the magic sword. Sidious retorted that even without a sword, he could easily kill him. In response, Hajin prepared his stigma and changed it into light mana. When the demonic human almost reached him, Hajin fired a bullet from his shotgun. In the next scene, Naeun, who had given up on finding the party location after getting lost, noticed a police car and wondered why it was so noisy. No one from the party had contacted her either. As she pondered the situation, Hajin suddenly appeared and sat beside her. She freaked out and asked what he was doing there. Hajin said he was a little tired and then passed out. In the next scene, Hajin was confused about his whereabouts. Then he remembered that he was at an exam center. After finishing his CSAT exam, someone called out to him from behind. It was Hajin's parents. He asked why they had come all the way there and told them he had failed his exam. He was crying, but his mother reassured him that it was okay. Hajin woke up from his dream and found himself on a bed. He wondered where he was. Upon hearing his voice, Soho and Naeun entered the room. Naeun told him it had been painful to carry him back here. Then she teased him, asking why he had been crying. Soho told her to wait outside for now. Natasha asked Hajin if he was feeling better. She informed him that he had shown certain symptoms of exhaustion. Hajin asked where they were. She explained that they were in the mansion of a French multimillionaire named Bethel. Hajin realized that the assassination incident was about to start soon. Natasha advised him to rest and took Naeun with her as they left. Soho inquired if Hajin was really okay. Hajin replied that he was fine. He read the news about demonic humans attacking the ball and felt relieved that no one had been killed. Hajin asked about the incident. Soho told him that nothing bad had happened and the demonic humans had run away before the heroes arrived. Then Hajin noticed Soho's wounds. Hajin told Soho that he should take care of himself as well because he was the protagonist. He recalled how Soho had run fiercely towards Yunsunga. At that time, Yunsunga had really intended to kill him. If the demonic humans had appeared a little later, they might have been severely injured. Hajin reflected that he had written Soho as a protagonist who walks on the good path. But he realized that the protagonist tries to do only good and righteous deeds. He wondered if Soho would be able to overcome the crisis of being controlled by an unknown being and if he would be able to send him back to his original world. Soho told Hajin that he was no protagonist. He added that if he was a protagonist, then Hajin was also the protagonist of his own story. In fact, everyone is the protagonist of their own story. Then Soho told Hajin that he had seen the report he wrote for Naeun and mentioned that he thought it was rather harsh. Hajin said that what he wrote was true and that Naeun doesn't have a natural talent for archery. He explained that he made the bet, so she would give up on archery. Soho argued that archery was the path Naeun had chosen, and he didn't think it was anyone's place to ask her to give it up. Hajin countered that not everything can be solved just by saying nice words. He asked what would happen if one tried their best to the very end, only to find that all that awaits is despair. He then asked Soho if he could take responsibility for that. Soho challenged Hajin, asking how he could be so sure about Naeun and if he could take responsibility for his judgment. Hajin responded that he had thought about this more than anyone else and had observed her for much longer than anyone else as well. That's why he claimed to know more about her situation than Soho did. Suddenly, they heard a voice from outside. Hajin realized it was Naeun. She had used one of her skills, stealth. Naeun barged into the room, flustered by what she had just overheard Hajin saying. Yuyona asked what had happened. Naeun replied that nothing had happened and went to sleep. She told herself to calm down and just ignore it. She remembered Hajin's words about observing her and mumbled about it. Suddenly, someone screamed. Yuyona woke up furious and told her to shut up. Naeun clarified that this time it wasn't her. A mate had screamed after seeing that Bethel was assassinated. Everyone came out of their rooms after hearing the screams. Soho jumped from the railing. Hajin saw him leaping from the third floor. Soho reached Bethel's room and saw him lying dead on his bed. The maid was calling for help. After everyone gathered, Natasha checked Bethel and confirmed that he was dead. Bethel's butler was distraught, asking who would do such a thing to such a kind man. Everyone was saddened. Natasha told the butler to call the police and ambulance and ordered all cadets to go to their rooms. Hajin turned on the lights. Natasha asked why he would do that. Hajin approached Bethel's body to examine his wounds, but Natasha stopped him from going near the crime scene. Hajin pulled out his gun and pointed it at Natasha. Everyone was shocked, thinking he had gone mad. Hajin declared that Natasha was lying because Bethel wasn't dead. He explained that Bethel deceives people with his fake death to escape a crisis he's in, and later becomes the greatest scammer after joining the demonic humans. Hajin revealed that he had only written Bethel's backstory about his fake death and didn't know about it until Bethel became the greatest scammer. He thought it would be best to take him down now. Hajin knew it would be difficult to explain his involvement to everyone and didn't know what kind of uncertainty this would cause in the story. But he remembered Soho's words about everyone being the protagonist in their own story. Hajin told everyone that Bethel wasn't dead and was deceiving them by acting. Natasha insisted she was the doctor and had confirmed his death. Hajin pointed out that the wound was too shallow. He noted that the next sign of death would be excessive blood loss, yet only the fatal hit he took was to the heart, and his blood had soaked not only the huge mattress, but also flowed onto the ground. He then showed a poster of a con artist listed on the global wanted list who looked strikingly similar to Bethel. Natasha asked the butler if he had called the police, saying that instead of arguing, they should get the police and doctors since their opinion would be trustworthy. Hajin pulled out his gun and pointed it at Bethel. Everyone was shocked. Natasha asked what he was doing. He said he'd be shooting after counting to 3. Hajin counted 1. She freaked out, asking him to stop since Bethel was already a corpse. He counted 2. She said they had already called for the police. What more did he want? He counted 3, and she started crying, blocking him from shooting Bethel and confessing that he was her father. Everyone was speechless. Hajin then shot at the butler, ordering him to get Heroes instead of the police. The police arrested Natasha, and Heroes caught Bethel. The assassination incident was a self-fabricated scenario set up by Bethel and Natasha. Bethel, who was wanted all over Europe, had planned this to escape from the police and Heroes. Natasha had luckily managed to bring one of the cube cadets, which contributed to his plan. The plan was known as coming after the suspended animation. While the ingredient to put someone in suspended animation was very expensive, Natasha, who was a doctor in Cube, was able to obtain it easily. The next step was simple. They just had to create a fake death scenario. The ambulance workers wouldn't be able to tell whether he was faking death. All the police involved in the case were already bribed by Bethel. A similar-looking corpse was prepared to switch with him. After that, Cube cadets gave testimony, and their words were 100% trustworthy. With that, Bethel became officially dead on paper. But he was to be reborn under a new name. However, that was no longer the case. Yuyona approached Hajin and asked if he was a Sherlock or something, since he had solved both the demonic human incident and this one. She suggested he open a detective agency. She asked how he knew the face of a criminal. He said it was just a family matter. Upon mentioning family matters, he wondered about Kim Chuandong's family history. In the next scene, at an evil society hideout, a demonic human explained that an unknown man wearing a leopard mask had appeared out of nowhere and stolen the ring, and even Sidious had lost to him. She said he didn't seem like a demonic human and wasn't like a hero either. The leader instructed her to investigate heroes and hunters and to report back to him first if she found any leads. He used his skill to manipulate gravity and asked her why she was advertising that she was a demonic human in that form. She apologized and turned back into her human form. He then ordered her to find the masked man as quickly as possible and asked if she had retrieved the lightsaber that Sidious had been using. Meanwhile, Hajin had already taken the lightsaber. He wondered how to use it and found that the weapon was useless to him since he couldn't control magic. He thought it could sell for a high price, but didn't feel right about selling it. The next item was Homer's ring. It required a certain amount of magic to be infused into it to activate its modifications. However, there was no need for Hajin to do that since he could easily change some words with his SP points. This relic could increase magic powers and intelligence, and it wasn't a bound item, so he could transfer it to someone else. Compared to someone like Hajin, who didn't have much magic power, someone like Kim Soho or Naeun would be able to put it to better use. It would be more beneficial for Naeun since she had the highest magic power. He wondered how much his stats had improved. He checked, but other than speed, nothing had changed significantly. However, there was an increase in his gifts. Hajin felt like he had hit a wall. He realized he needed to work harder to break through his limits. Still, he was confident that he would be able to beat Naeun. Before closing his laptop, he remembered he was supposed to find out about Kim Chuandong's past. There was no way the co-author would leave Kim Chuandong's past blank. He must have written something about it. Kim Chuandong had joined the Cube, and even though he might have been an extra in Hajin's novel, he should have been elite in the real world. This meant there was a high chance that his parents weren't ordinary. He wondered what the co-author had written about his past. He came across a detective agency, troubleshooter Yoo Jin-hyuk. He was known to be the best at finding all sorts of information but was also expensive. Since he was very good at finding information, Hajin thought it might be worth it. But then, he remembered he didn't have the money because he was investing it. Evangel's seed started to move, and Hajin realized it was feeding time. In the next scene, in Norway, Hajin was enjoying the scenery when suddenly an ice ball hit his face. Naeun was making fun of him. The club activities that had been paused after the Sven incident had resumed. The hunting club rented a mountain cabin in the mountains of Norway and organized an event to celebrate the resumption of club activities. The club president gathered everyone and explained the rules. The seniors had hidden flags with numbers in various parts of the forest, and there were rewards linked to the numbers on the flags. The higher the number, the better the rewards. She told everyone to draw lots to form pairs, and unsurprisingly, Naeun and Hajin were paired up again. Naeun told him to follow her and asked if he was not cold in that thin jacket. He said that it was a functional jacket, a present from Rachel after the midterm incident. He regretted not creating more characters like her. Naeun found a flag with the number 1 on it, but it was positioned very high up. Hajin said, "Who is dumb enough to climb that high?" But Naeun had already started climbing. Hajin pulled out a knife and tied it to a wire. Naeun asked if he really thought that was going to work. It wasn't just any wire, it had some of Stigma's mana in it, which he could control. The knife hit the flag, causing it to fall. Naeun came running, excited about the reward. The reward was Yoon Sung-ga's contact number. Hajin was really disappointed and gave it to Naeun. She couldn't believe he didn't want the phone number of Korea's #1 guild's vice captain. She was happy but then refused his reward. In Cube, Yoo wondered how Hajin knew the faces of criminals. The wanted criminal, Bethel, had committed crimes across Europe and shouldn't have any connections with Hajin. But she considered the possibility that Hajin had memorized the faces of all globally wanted criminals. Why would he do that? She formulated a hypothesis, imagining a scene in her mind. What if some wanted criminals had done terrible things to him in his past? What if, because of that, he memorized the global list of wanted criminals to find the culprit? She speculated that Hajin's parents might not have just died but were murdered. Perhaps that was why he hid his powers, so he could kill the culprits without them knowing he was after them. It was just a hypothesis, but if it turned out to be true, she saw an opportunity to put herself in a greatly advantageous position when trying to recruit Hajin to her guild. However, she was frustrated about how she was going to confirm it. In the next scene, Yoo contacted Yoo Jin-hyuk, who was her uncle. When Jin-hyuk picked up the phone, he realized it was his niece. Yoo told him she wanted to hire him to investigate someone. She gave him Hajin's information and asked him to investigate Hajin's past and where he had been. With Jin-hyuk's ability to experience the past, he could find anything. Hajin found 2 flags. For him, the reward for the 4th flag, which was a VR headset, was more useful than the first flag. After the competition, everyone was having a feast. Hajin was cooking and told everyone to rest and enjoy the meal. Since his aunt used to run a Korean barbecue restaurant, he was really an expert at it. One of the seniors mentioned that their end-of-term exams would start soon. She cautioned everyone not to trust anyone during the exams. They weren't just tough, she had seen friendships break up over them. Since the exams are directly connected to their results, everyone is very sensitive. She asked if they knew about the repeat class and warned them about it. The repeat class, as the name suggests, is for cadets whose grades didn't make the cut and who couldn't advance to the next class. There are around 200 cadets in each grade, and about 20% of them have made contracts with demons or belong to high-risk groups. Problems during the end-of-term exams often stem from them. Now that the co-author is involved, it is possible for the percentage to increase. The senior told Hajin to take a break, but he said he was okay and had been eating while cooking. After dinner, they were chatting and playing games. Everyone was teasing Naeun, and she was furious with Hajin. After that, Hajin stepped outside, feeling good for the first time in a long while. He tried to smoke, but then remembered he had quit since arriving here. He recalled the days of his previous life. Just then, Naeun came from behind and asked if he used to smoke before. She joked that he must have been a real thug and probably had tattoos. Hajin denied everything. She looked at him and asked if he was confident about winning. He asked if she was confident about giving up archery. She said she didn't think she would lose. Hajin asked if she was going to cry like she did earlier. Then, she showed him an article about him in France. It described how a Korean Sherlock caught a globally wanted con artist. She said she couldn't believe they were calling a dumb smoker a Sherlock. Then she ran away, teasing him, but stopped, curious about what smoking felt like. In the next scene, we see an orphanage. Jin-hyuk was using his ability and waiting outside. He noticed a kid who was holding a little child. She placed that child at the door and left. He tried to get closer, but the density of the past was too high. Then his ability got cancelled. He wondered who she was. He returned to his office. His assistant asked him how the target was this time around. In response, he said it was unusual this time, but he quickly ran towards the bathroom. He went back to the day when the target entered the orphanage to take a look, but he didn't see the target's parents. Instead, some kid left him at the orphanage. He couldn't find out much about Hajin's past because it was covered in a thick fog. He needed to find out more about Hajin. It would take a while, even if he was doing this task for free because of his niece. His assistant opened the door and said he needed to do it even if he didn't want to because another request to look into Hajin's past came in. What's worse is that this time, it's coming from the top rank of a violent society from a red diamond rank purchaser. On top of that, the letter was written in a very polite manner and offered lots of money. He was sure this request was from the chameleon troupe. He understood there was really something about Hajin. In the next scene, the instructor told everyone that the finals would be in 4 weeks. He warned the cadets that the practical exams would be much harder than the midterms and that they would be tested on what they had learned about being a hero this semester. Hajin knew about the exam. Unlike the midterms, which were more entertaining, the finals didn't have a prepared arena or audience. The finals would be held on a remote island in Korea. A survival exam would be conducted on an island full of monsters and beasts. If the co-author gets involved, a lot of changes could occur, and there are many variables besides the co-author. He needed to be on guard all the time. The professor said he couldn't reveal all the details, but numerous instructors from middle class to high class would be going all out to ensure the exam location's safety. They just needed to focus on the exams. While Hajin was packing his bag, Naeun came up from behind and asked if he had forgotten about their archery bet. In response, he reminded her that if she lost, she would have to quit archery, and told her not to cry after you lose. At the cube's archery center, they were about to start their match when Hajin asked why all the other cadets were there. Lee Yong-han said they were doing something fun with just the two of them, and they needed to have an audience for this. Lee Yong-han wasn't even embarrassed about what happened earlier. Kim Jong-hak pulled his hair back and asked Hajin if he had asked Naeun to give up archery if she lost. He asked what would happen if Hajin lost, and if he would quit the cube. Naeun, annoyed by all the chatter, told everyone to shut up. She explained that the objective of the match would be to hit a flying target. They would start from 100 meters, and every time they succeeded, they would add an additional 50 meters and continue shooting. Looking at Hajin, Naeun asked if he was scared because it seemed difficult. Hajin replied confidently that it seemed easier than he thought, which annoyed Naeun even more. They prepared for the match, and Naeun took the first shot, easily hitting the target. She looked at Hajin expectantly, but Hajin was so surprised by her success that he forgot to shoot and asked for another chance. Everyone was speechless and burst out laughing. Kim Jong-hak said they should kick Hajin off the stage. Naeun remarked that even his posture was a mess. Hajin then took his stance to shoot. While Naeun had a perfect posture, that didn't matter to Hajin. One doesn't become a top archer just by learning posture perfectly. That's just a basic requirement. In this world, the power known as talent determines who is top grade and who is not. Hajin's talent is master sharpshooter. He took the shot and hit the target, shocking everyone. He was really happy. In the next scene, a bunch of kids gathered to see the hero's disciple, the child genius Chai Naeun. The hero was in disbelief and asked her if she was serious about changing her weapon. He wondered if it was because of her mother. Naeun replied that there was no reason for it. She just wanted to change. She said a genius like her would probably be able to master archery if she became one. Despite being given the best magic sword by her hero master, Naeun apologized to him. He was furious and told her not to call him master since he didn't have any disciples who changed their paths so easily. After calming down, he said that if that was her decision, he wouldn't stop her but asked if that was really what she wanted. In the present, Hajin hit another target without any issue. The distance had already reached 400 meters. Other archers present couldn't believe that Hajin was keeping up with her, and he had surpassed their personal bests. Someone mentioned that not only was he keeping up, but he was also shooting immediately after Naeun hit her target. They commented that it would be impressive to hit 1 or 2 shots, but facing a veteran in archery and all the psychological pressure, Kim Hajin still looked very relaxed. They said if this kept going, Kim Hajin would win. Kim Jong-hak was very angry at the current situation. Naeun took a shot but missed the bullseye. Hajin told her that he had already said she wasn't suitable for archery. She replied to this cheap provocation by telling him to shut up and shoot the arrow. Naeun didn't have a calm personality. She got angry quickly and was rattled by the slightest provocation. It was natural that she wasn't suitable to be an archer. Hajin provoked Naeun, saying she was scared to fight using swords. Naeun, visibly angry, told him in a serious tone to watch his mouth. Hajin responded that it looked like that to him. He continued, saying that was why she tried to rationalize things, thinking she was as talented with bows as she was with swords. Hajin pressed further, saying that with her current level, she wouldn't be able to defeat a single demonic human to avenge her family. Naeun took the shot but missed her target, leaving everyone shocked. Naeun lost to Hajin. In the next scene, Yuna was searching for Naeun. She found her sitting on a bench alone and asked what she was doing there. Naeun asked if she had heard about what happened. She told Yuna that Hajin brought up her family again and wondered why he keeps acting like that. She acknowledged that he had helped her before and, while they weren't close, she had thought he wasn't a bad person. Yuna wondered what Hajin would gain from this. She remembered that she needed both Hajin and Naeun in her guild, and if their relationship worsened, it would be troublesome. Yuna suggested that Hajin acted this way because he doesn't have a family and he might identify with Naeun's situation. She said that maybe he wants Naeun to understand him and that he wants the best for her. Yuna advised her to think about it. Naeun remembered when her brother asked her why she was changing her weapon. She had told him she was getting bored of the sword. He patted her head affectionately and told her that no matter what path she took, he would always support her. However, he asked her to promise that when she grew up, she would truly consider what she wanted to do. She promised him she would. Hajin's SB points increased by 253, leaving him confused about why he gained so many points. Meanwhile, Naeun stood up and walked away with newfound confidence. Jin-hyuk told Yuna that there was something suspicious about Kim Hajin. He promised to investigate further but warned her that Hajin might be connected to an illegal organization. He decided not to mention the chameleon troupe. He asked if she really wanted to know about Hajin's past. She replied that she had already made up her mind and was determined to bring him into the essence of the straits. Excited by her resolve, he assured her that he would put in more effort for his niece. Rumors about the shooting competition quickly spread, and even the instructor called Hajin afterward. While at the training center, Hajin noticed someone was there. He took a look and saw Naeun holding a sword. She saw Hajin and quickly hid the sword, creating an awkward situation. Hajin mentioned her hair, asking if she cut it because of him. She angrily replied that it was worm and she would never do something over such a trivial thing. Hajin, pleased, told her she looked good. He said he had also come to train. As Hajin was leaving, Naeun watched him, thinking he was a swordsman before and how he had abandoned everything he knew throughout his life to choose different weapons. She wondered what kind of feelings he had. She used her talent and almost touched the ceiling, feeling really happy. Hajin recommended that she use a sword instead of a bow. She wondered if he had known from the start. Hajin bought everything he would need for the final exam. They would check everyone's belongings before the exam, but that was mainly to catch defense tools and weapons. As long as he told them he was bringing everything in case of an emergency, they would let him keep it. Evangel's seed was making noise, so Hajin fed it blood. He noticed it had gotten bigger. A newly born Evandel would look like a child around 3 or 4 years old. He thought he might be able to raise her if he gave her a different look, like that of a cat or a dog. He petted the seed. Meanwhile, in a hotel in Seoul, Jane asked the captain if she really wanted to disguise herself as a cadet and infiltrate the final exams. The captain confirmed, saying there was someone whose abilities she personally wanted to see and something she wanted from the exam location. Jane agreed and used her talent to transform the captain into a cube cadet, providing details about personality, speech patterns, and other nuances. Jane expressed her unease about this plan, but the captain reassured her that there was no need to worry. In the next scene, two girls held another girl's hands, asking where she had been yesterday and if she had gotten a boyfriend. It was the captain in disguise. She thought it was pretty easy to imitate a cadet. The captain told her friends she didn't have a boyfriend yet. Hajin, standing nearby, noticed her. Using his observation and reading skills, he saw through her disguise. Shocked, he quickly went to his desk. Hajin wondered why on earth the captain would come to Cube. The theory exams ended, and the final exams began. The captain, still disguised as Seo Ijin, remained at Cube. After the midterm exams, Hajin didn't expect her to appear again. Unsure of her intentions, he decided to use this opportunity to gain SP points. He acted friendly and spoke with her, but all he received in return was a soda. The instructor then gathered everyone and explained the exam rules. The cadets had to survive on an island for 5 days and earn points. Cadets could earn points by defeating monsters on the island or taking points from other cadets. Points could also be bought and sold among cadets. Cadets who wanted to obtain the best results could try to steal an instructor's name tag, which would be worth 200 points. Everyone reached the island, and they started forming teams. Hajin saw Rachel and asked if she wanted to team up. He knew that as long as there was a villain who held grudges against Rachel, she would be in the most danger. She said she was comfortable being alone, but Hajin gave her his location just in case. As night fell, Naeun was hunting for monsters. A group of monkeys attacked her, but she cut them all down with her sword. Frustrated and unsure of where to go, she wandered around the island, killing monsters like crazy. She wondered where she could find food and a place to rest. Suddenly, she saw a light and smelled the aroma of delicious food. She immediately ran toward the light. Upon arrival, saw Hajin. Annoyed that she encountered him first, she asked where he got everything. Hajin explained that, knowing how long the test would last, he had prepared in advance. Naeun begrudgingly admitted that he was smart. Hajin could tell she wanted food but hesitated to ask. He offered her food in exchange for half of her points. She agreed, prioritizing eating so she could survive longer. Hajin had hacked into the island's cameras, and as he accessed one, he found Rachel. She had come across a group that offered her food, assuring her she could eat comfortably and didn't have to worry about the points. After a long night, Hajin woke up, but it was still dark. He wondered if it was a polar night. Naeun was still asleep. The evangel seed was moving, so Hajin petted it and said, "Why are you so cute?" He put it in his pocket. He asked Naeun if she was still asleep and told her he was taking the tent. She didn't respond, so Hajin disassembled the tent. From now on, fights between cadets were allowed. However, cadets were not allowed to kill each other. Cadets who thought they were demonic humans weren't actually demonic humans yet. Demonic humans who were contracted with actual demons were different and treated as disposable for experimental purposes. Currently, the only dangerous cadet on the island was a cadet named Ju Yohun. Hajin decided to head for higher ground. His first destination was the Tree of Life, located at the center of the island. As Hajin wandered through the forest, someone aimed at him, preparing to shoot, but Yuyona stopped her, telling her she couldn't mess with that person. She mentioned that he was ranked above 900 cadets, and Yuyona told her she couldn't win against him. Hajin took a jumping stance, and she wondered if he was really trying to jump to that height and climb the Tree of Life. He took a deep breath and climbed the tree within seconds. She was amazed to see him climb the tree, and Yuyona said rankings didn't apply to someone like him. Yuyona advised her to keep his strength a secret, as they might become acquainted in the future. Hajin used his skill, Thousand Mile Eyes, to scan for someone and found him. He broke a branch from the tree and carved a message into it with his stigma. Using his stigma magic, he threw it toward the person, barely missing him. The person picked it up and saw the message. Now Hajin just needed to wait. Meanwhile, Naeun, still in her sleeping bag, woke up flustered. She remembered Hajin's words about being cute and went crazy, wondering why he would say that. She thought maybe a stray cat or dog had come by, or maybe he was talking to himself. She wondered what if he had said it to her. Meanwhile, Hajin was wondering if someone was talking about him. Rachel was with the group she had joined the previous night. This group was part of the failing class that Ju Yohun was affiliated with. They rejected the points she offered them and shared their food with her. They even looked out for her, but Rachel felt uncomfortable. In the middle of the final exams, where other cadets were trying to raise their grades, they didn't seem interested in acquiring points. It felt like they were more focused on her than on earning points. She knew she had to leave this place quickly. Ju Yohun called out to Rachel and told her he had spotted a 10-point grizzly bear. He asked if she would help him since he couldn't fight it alone. She agreed to help, planning to leave afterward. They reached the area, and Ju Yohun told her he saw a bear on a cliff. However, instead of a bear, there was a portal and a demonic human standing in front of it. She realized it was not an instructor, but a demonic human. The demonic human attacked her, but Rachel dodged the attack and saved Ju Yohun. She asked him if he was okay, and he said he was bleeding and not okay. Then, he quickly ran away, leaving her behind. She realized he was involved in this. She drew her sword and pointed it at the demonic human. The demonic human was ready for another attack and launched it, but she dodged again. He closed the distance for a close-range fight. Rachel was struggling against him, but she had improved a lot since last time. They exchanged multiple strikes, and she found an opening and cut him. However, her feet were locked, and she couldn't move. Another demonic human sneaked up behind her, so she was now facing two demonic humans. Suddenly, a bullet came flying from the sky and hit the demonic human. The second demonic human was angered and launched an attack. She couldn't move, but suddenly Kim Soho appeared and blocked the attack. He signaled Naeun, who was prepared with her bow, and she shot an arrow at the demonic human. Everyone asked Rachel if she was okay, and she thanked them for their help. Soho found that the demonic human fled by jumping off the cliff before he got hit by the arrow. Soho told her she might get attacked again and advised her to move with them until they were safely away. She agreed. While they were leaving, Rachel saw something, a bullet lying on the ground. She picked it up and realized the first shot wasn't from Naeun. Soho asked Naeun if she had finally decided to use swords. She replied that it was just a subweapon. Rachel was lost in thought. Among the people she knew, only Hajin used a gun, but she had never seen him use a sniper rifle before. She wondered how he knew she was in danger and why he didn't show himself after helping her. Naeun woke her from her thoughts and asked if she wanted to travel together, like a co-op mission. Rachel refused, saying she had to leave. Soho cautioned her that it was still dangerous out there, but she insisted that she had someone she needed to meet. In the next scene, Hajin had gathered 22 points, 12 from Naeun and 10 from monsters. He needed at least 50 points to be safe. As he was leaving, the captain approached him. He wondered why she was here and if she was there to fight. Knowing he couldn't defeat her, he guessed her objective was probably just to observe. However, she pulled her sword, clearly indicating that she did want to fight. She told him to take out his weapon. The probability of Hajin winning was close to 0%. Hajin acted confused and asked her what she was talking about, but then he pulled out his ether. She told him that if he didn't pull his weapon, she would have no choice but to attack him. Hajin asked why she wanted to fight. She said why is he intending to waste time with this nonsense. Suddenly, Hajin revealed he had her watch. She was surprised and asked if he was intending to surrender. He told her it wasn't his watch, it was hers. Battles between cadets were won by the person who stole the opponent's watch first, and if he pressed the button, she would be disqualified. Hajin returned her watch and told her not to mess with him again, claiming he had gone easy on her. The captain was speechless as Hajin immediately ran off. She asked Jane if she saw what had happened. Jane said her drone wasn't working. Even though half of her senses were gone because of Jane's powers, she wondered if she should have activated the release spell technique. Hajin successfully escaped from the dangerous situation, feeling immense relief and fear from his near-death experience. He noticed someone behind a bush and saw that it was Rachel. She was glad to have found him. Hajin asked if she was looking for him. She nodded, but her stomach growled loudly, revealing her hunger. Hajin shared his food with her. Rachel asked what he was doing alone so far from the others. He replied that he was wandering around to get points, embarrassed to mention that he had saved her life earlier. Noticing that she was hurt from fighting a demonic human, Hajin was about to say something when the evangel seed in his pants started moving. It jumped out of his pocket and landed on Rachel, causing her to scream in surprise. She caught the seed, and Hajin quickly explained that it was an almond seed pet he was raising. Rachel calmed down and handed it back to him, and an awkward silence ensued. Rachel then asked Hajin if he wanted to team up with her for a co-op mission. Hajin remarked that she sounded like Naeun. Rachel asked if Naeun had already proposed teaming up with him, but Hajin, knowing the story from the novel, didn't need to explain further and agreed to team up with her. Rachel mentioned she still had a team and asked if he knew who Ju Yohun was. Hajin assured her not to worry about him because he had already arranged things for them. Meanwhile, Kim Jong-hak had defeated all of his opponents. Ju Yohoon was left alone, wondering why Jong-hak had come there. Jong-hak threw a branch towards him as a challenge with coordinates for a specific place. When Yohoon clarified that it wasn't him who sent the coordinates, Jong-hak said it didn't matter. Jong-hak approached Yohoon, expressing his dislike for anyone from the failing class. He grabbed Yohoon by the neck and slammed him against a tree, saying that those who don't know their place are like snakes. In the next scene, Yoon Sunga was waiting at the northwest side of the island's observation tower. A member of her guild approached and asked who she was thinking of. She replied, Kim Hajin. He asked if Kim Suho was her favorite cadet. She confirmed this but added that they had received some new information. 2 days ago, she got a top-secret report. In the report, Yu Yona had evaluated Kim Hajin to be even more outstanding than Kim Suho. While there was still a chance the information could be false, they had already discovered the special circumstances of Kim Hajin, including his ability to use light mana attributes. When asked how she was going to verify the report's information, she said she had a bait worth 200 points. Rachel was sitting in the tent, thinking about Hajin. She knew he was the one who saved her, but she wondered why he denied it and how he knew she was in danger. She remembered the words of the demonic human, Lancaster, and was certain that today's attack was orchestrated by him. She questioned if she should have died along with her comrades back then. In the next scene, a monster was roaming around when Hajin took aim and shot it. He noted that today's hunt was going smoothly, despite Rachel not feeling well in the morning. After a meal, she seemed to recover quickly. Spotting a huge lake nearby, he thought there might be many points to earn there. Summoning a light ball, he figured it would be easy to lure the creatures in the lake with its shine. Hajin suddenly sensed someone watching him and quickly asked who it was. There was no response. Though he couldn't see the person, he knew they were skilled at hiding. However, now that he had discovered them, they couldn't escape his sight. He shot towards the person, and Naeun barely dodged it, revealing herself. Hajin asked why she was stalking him. She denied following him but couldn't explain why she was hiding. Her silence confirmed Hajin's suspicions. She then admitted she was after Sunga. Hajin wondered where Sunga might be and took out his laptop to search for her. Naeun asked why he suddenly knelt while talking. Hajin, knowing Yoon Sunga's whereabouts from the novel, explained that during the first and second days, she monitored Kim Suho, and during the third and fourth days, she watched the other promising cadets. Since she was now monitoring Hajin, it meant he was among her list of promising cadets. Naeun asked him how he made the light sphere. Hajin curtly told her to shut up if she understood. Offended, Naeun retorted that she wasn't interested in knowing and left. Hajin felt a bit arrogant, but couldn't reveal the truth. If he explained about the mana stigma, he would also have to disclose that this world was within a novel. After killing several monsters, Hajin managed to collect 15 points. Suddenly, Yoon Sunga appeared in front of him. She greeted him, mentioning that this was their first meeting since he rejected her offer. Hajin's response was indifferent. She explained that she was there to conduct events and test the cadets' abilities. She proposed a challenge. She would stay in one spot and only use her left hand, while Hajin could attack her as much as he wanted. If even one attack hit her or made her take a single step, he would win her name tag. The name tag of an instructor was worth 200 points, making it an attractive proposal. However, the opponent was the hero Yoon Sunga, making it a daunting challenge. She asked if he was ready for the challenge. Hajin immediately pulled out his gun and shot at her. The bullet almost reached her, but she blocked it with her bare hand, deflecting it. She was amazed to see him create a light sphere and have this much power from a pistol. Hajin couldn't believe she blocked the strengthened bullet with just her bare hands without using mana. Realizing that straightforward attacks wouldn't work, Hajin pulled out 2 knives attached to mana strings and threw them at her. She easily dodged them, complementing his use of knives with pistols. Hajin shot multiple bullets, but she blocked all of them, feeling the power behind each shot. As she was talking, the knives he threw earlier came back at her. It was too far for her left hand to reach them, but just as they almost hit her, she used her fire skill to burn them. Hajin knew he couldn't win against her. She was fascinated to see him change the path of knives with mana and asked what kind of technique he used. Hajin decided to leave, confusing her. She told him to stop, and as he noticed, she had moved from her spot. She was angry and asked if he was treating her proposal as a joke. Hajin said he was just testing his luck since he couldn't win due to the difference in their strength. He gave up and started leaving. Though half serious, when he said she lost just now, he didn't push it further, seeing her fury. A captain was watching them. Drun asked if the information was correct, and she confirmed. She then noticed something. Drun asked what happened, and she said she heard a heartbeat, the heartbeat of the butterfly sapling, which was about to awaken. The butterfly sapling is a spirit-type monster that leeches off a tree like a parasite. It appeared on the last day of the exam and was killed by the main characters. During that process, Kim Suho obtained the dust of the sapling, and Rachel received a hint of enlightenment. This was how the original story went. However, now she had formed a team with Hajin. To help her enlightenment, she would have to join the fight. The problem was that he didn't know when or where it would appear. Kim Suho's team hunted lots of monsters. There were 20 hours left before the exam ended. Nayeon asked what he thought of Hajin. She said he was hiding too much and was suspicious in both the museums and Paris. Additionally, he was pretty high-ranked and strong despite his frail-looking body. Suho remembered Hajin's words when he said he observed Nayeon a lot more than anyone else, and just smiled. Suho acknowledged that Hajin did hide a lot of things. Nayeon grew irritated, asking him to tell her what he knew. While they were talking, tree roots started attacking them. Numerous roots were coming towards them, and Hajin heard noises of cadets running and defending themselves amidst the chaos. Hajin told Rachel they needed to find the source and kill the monster. He asked her to protect him when they got close to it, and she agreed. Cadets who felt the tremors were likely heading towards the sapling now. They ran quickly towards the source, where a cocoon was about to open at any moment. An instructor asked Yunsunga if they should intervene since it was an unexpected monster. She said it would be fine and that the cadets could handle it on their own. The instructor expressed concern that the monsters were too dangerous, but she told him not to underestimate the cadets, as they were the seeds of heroes, and heroes always grow during crises. Nayeon cut down the roots with her sword. Suho was amazed but advised her that her cutting power would increase if she circulated her sword energy near the blade. She told him to shut up. The roots kept coming back no matter how many times they were cut down, so Suho decided to head to the main body. Something was moving inside the cocoon, and then a butterfly sapling emerged. It was huge and flew into the sky, sprinkling sapling dust everywhere. After inhaling the dust, everyone started getting dizzy and lost consciousness. Rachel saw everyone collapsed and wondered how Hajin had predicted this in advance. He told her he could defeat the butterfly, but she needed to protect him. She understood and agreed. Suho held his breath and noticed movement in the forest. Two people came flying towards the butterfly sapling. It was Hajin and Rachel, both wearing masks. Hajin took aim and shot at the butterfly, which barely dodged. This angered the butterfly, and tree roots came straight towards them. Rachel easily cut them down but noticed some roots coming from beneath them. She pushed Hajin away, saving him, but a root grabbed Rachel and threw her against a tree. Hajin was shocked, but more roots came his way. Just then, Suho arrived to save him. Suho held his breath, but breathed little of the dust. He saw Rachel fainted. The evangel seed came out and ran straight towards Rachel. Suho, still conscious, asked Hajin if he could defeat the butterfly. He offered to help but said he couldn't hold out for long. Hajin explained that he could make only 3 fire attribute bullets with his stigma. The monster's speed was exceptionally fast for a spirit-type monster. To kill it, Hajin would need to get closer. He asked Suho to distract it while he got near. Suho agreed and unleashed his sword saint power, which seemed stronger than before. Suho was fascinated by Hajin, who never seemed surprised by any secret weapon. Suho remarked that sometimes he felt like Hajin knew everything about this world. Hajin was taken aback, but said nothing. He knew everything because the person who created this world is him, the author. Because of that, many problems have occurred. This world that he wrote as a novel is currently right in front of his eyes. When he said those words, at that moment he realized that he has become a character that he never written before. Suho ran towards the butterfly, and Hajin took aim and shot a bullet. It hit the butterfly, but it didn't die. Hajin couldn't believe it survived and prepared for a second shot. Suddenly, someone launched a powerful attack, causing the butterfly to fall. It was the captain of the chameleon troop. The butterfly was falling to the ground when Suho gave it a final strike. They finally defeated the sapling, and Suho lost consciousness. The captain approached the butterfly sapling and collected its dust. Hajin came up from behind and demanded that she hand it over. She didn't know exactly what function the dust had, but she probably came for it because loot from spirits could sell for a high price. To fight the spirits that would appear in the future, Kim Suho needed the butterfly's sapling dust. She looked around and was impressed to see everyone unconscious except Hajin. Even though the butterfly was dead and the sapling's effect had lessened, Hajin was still standing as a mere cadet. He was using the blocking defense function of ether, but was having trouble breathing. He tried to wear his mask, but the captain attacked him, preventing him from doing so. She opened a portal and revealed herself. Hajin recognized her as Li Xiaopeng. She was confused until she remembered it was a fake identity she used when approaching Kim Hajin. She asked what he thought about her being there. He answered that she must be a supervisor. She asked if he knew she was Li Xiaopeng from the start. When he answered, she threatened to kill him if he lied. Horrified, Hajin quickly responded when he had stolen her watch. He said has sharp eyes. Jane's talent couldn't be seen through just sharp eyes. However, Hajin was able to see through Jane's talent and cognition-impeding devices. She theorized that he must have anti-magic mana, a special circumstance where all the mana within him was anti-magic. This made sense as to how he could see through Jane's talent. If her theory was correct, Hajin was a precious resource she couldn't afford to lose. She calmed down and gave him the sapling dust. In return, she wanted something, but Jane stopped her from making any strange requests. She told her not to rush and to take it slow. Instead, she just asked for his contact number. After she left, Hajin finally felt relieved. He thought he was going to die, but he managed to achieve an important goal. Then he remembered Rachel and the seed. The seed was glowing, and the evangel seed was hatching, releasing a bright light. Rachel was feeling sleepy. She wanted to defeat the spirit, become number one, and make the imperial family proud. She opened her eyes a little and saw a bright light and a small child. The child quickly hugged her. Rachel wondered who she was, noting that all her wounds were healing. The child felt familiar, almost like her younger self. She was trying to say something, but Rachel couldn't hear her. Her vision blurred, and she fell asleep. Hajin quickly came running. Evangel's child called him Dad and asked why Mom was sleeping again.